Yo, 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 yo. We are in here, man. Firestorm is back. Salute to everyone who jumped in here early. I appreciate you for this Firestorm Volume 10 special edition, my birthday edition. And I appreciate every single one of you guys coming in here, taking the time out of your night to join the conversation. Want to give a shout out, of course, to the first man in the building, boxing matchups, Dwayne Freeman was good. An official member of the channel, Omega Red in the building. Good to see you. King Corleone in the building. SM, also an official member of the channel in the building. What's good? Thanks for dropping by. Got my man Black Alpha in the building. I am Trill Will also stopping by. You know you got the link. I am Trill Will. You are invited to the panel tonight, so feel free to jump up in here. We also got Jellybean 4280 in the building. It's been a while since I've seen you, bro. Good to see you in the chat. My man Stephen L. the Mac. He wants to be the first one to send that super chat. I appreciate you. He says, happy birthday, happy born day, my light-skinned brother. I appreciate you immensely, and thank you for being in here on my birthday, man. This is why I wanted to do this, and this is the best birthday present that I can possibly get, is to chop it up with you guys, my family, my boxing family here on YouTube, and that there's no other birthday present better than that for me. Mangus Allen also in the building. Andrew Charles, excuse me. good to see you in here as well. And my man Yave back in here. Salute to you. So, a lot of invites were sent out to a lot of different content creators out here. So, we'll see who trickles in along the way. And nonetheless, we're going to get this party started and get into some boxing talk. I got a lot of DMs over the past week, a lot of anticipation from people wanting to hear my thoughts in regards to a lot of these big fights, man, coming up in April. I mean, we are blessed by the boxing gods in April, no doubt about it. A lot of big fights coming up, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now, you guys know how I conduct these firestorms, right? Normally it's an open panel, it's an open discussion. We chop it up, we talk about fights, we give our predictions, we break it down, we go back and forth, etc., etc. So that's how we're going to do it tonight as well. And I'm not going to we'll see what happens. We'll see if somebody can lure me in to give my official predictions on some of these fights. But traditionally speaking, I drop an upload of my prediction and breakdowns, which I still plan to do, by the way, and also keys to victory of these fights. A lot of people enjoyed my keys to victory when I broke down the Spence and Pacquiao fight and also the Canelo and Caleb Plant fight. So I plan to do that again, get some boxing gloves on, and go through the motions and do some keys to victory for both fighters, in particular for the Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson fight, and of course the Earl Spence and the Ugas fight. I may do something for the Canelo and Bivol fight as well, and I got some mixed emotions about that fight. We may touch on that tonight, and we may not. Mike Biggs, what's good, bro? Thanks for dropping by, man. Good to see you in here. Vanos Crew Clips, what's good, man? It's been a while. Bruce Goes Boxing Jazz. Bruce Goes, you also got a email with the link to this discussion, so feel free. I am Trill Will. You said you didn't get an email. All right, cool. I'll go ahead and drop it in here. I don't care. I'll go ahead and drop the link right up in here for anybody that wants to jump in. It's Firestorm, man. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. Don Shoda 24. I appreciate that. Stephen L. DeMac. What about Serrano versus Taylor? Yep, that's another one we can talk about. No doubt. No doubt about it. There's a link right there in the chat. Feel free to jump in. Anybody wants to jump into the conversation. I'm going to start off with something that is not from the thumbnail, which I produced to and get your guys' attention to come in here. And there's something that caught my attention literally about an hour or so before I jumped on live, which is I put it on my Instagram story. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you guys do that at Divine Sense Boxing. But I noticed something on Instagram that caught my attention, and that was something that was brought up by AJ. AJ coming out saying that he's getting tired of people saying that he ducked Wilder. Now, the reason why I want to start it off because I just want to break the ice and give my thoughts about this real quickly before we get into the meat of the topic. But I think that the only reason why Wilder is being pulled back into the conversation is simply because we don't really know what's going to happen with Joshua Usyk, right? There's a lot of suspicion that Usyk may be caught up with the whole Ukraine-Russia situation, so we may not get that rematch anytime soon. We don't know. So now there's like old rumors and suspicions being brought back up. And so AJ posted that he never ducked Wilder, and he posted a post that Wilder had made, I believe it was maybe earlier this year or something, where he said that he turned down bigger money to fight Joshua to give Fury the rematch in the second fight. So he's twisting it, saying that, he could have fought me, but instead he rematched Fury. So I found that kind of funny how people are kind of twisted that. And then of course you get into the comment section, and then it's even more hilarious. But for those of you guys who haven't seen it, I'll go ahead and put it up here on the screen real quickly so you guys can see. We got I am Trill Will in the building. The link is also up in the chat if anybody else wants to jump in here. I believe Tay Jones may join a little bit later. Also, Drew plans to be in here a little bit later, and also possibly Ricky Williams. So let me share this screen with you guys, man, of this post real quick, just to break the ice before we get into the meat of the topic. So there you have it. Let me blow it up a little bit. Yeah. So this is from a Instagram called boxing_worldwide1. It's one of the boxing profiles that I follow on Instagram. And I don't know if you guys can see, but he says Anthony Joshua with a clear message for those who claim that he ducked Wilder, highlighting Wilder's own admission that he was the one who rejected the fight with Joshua. Now, like I said, I don't know what brought this about. Obviously, people are tagging Joshua and still telling him that he's ducked Wilder. And I guess maybe he's getting sick of it. So he made this post. And a part of the post that he made was he made a repost of one of Deontay Wilder's posts that he made back before the rematch against Fury, which I just mentioned. So I found that kind of funny, right? Where it's Joshua's just really, really annoying me to the maximum level at this point, where it's kind of like, bro, like when are you just gonna go away? Like either prove yourself or just go away. That's how I kind of feel about it. And I don't know though. Like now that Usyk is in this kind of gray zone, we don't know what's going to happen. Will this pull Wilder back in? Will they make that fight happen against Joshua? And if you go, Jay Smooth, what's good? If you go into the comment section, right, people are already getting up in the comments talking about who they think's going to win this fight. A lot of people are hyping it up. AJ Wilder, we got to see it. AJ puts Wilder all the way out, this dude says. Wilder would knock AJ out in the first half of the fight. I never believed AJ ducked Wilder, and I don't believe Wilder ducked AJ. And so the comment section is crazy about fight predictions, and I don't know, man. Is this a possibility where some juices are flowing and we might get to see something that we've all wanted to see for a few years now, and we haven't been able to see it yet? Now that we know that Usyk may not come in the ring anytime soon. So now that I got you in here, I am Trill Will. I want to get your thoughts about this post by AJ and the potential of this fight happening, and just use that as the beginning of this Firestorm episode.
First off, happy birthday to you, bro. Here's what I think of this. Anthony Joshua is the biggest piece of shit on the planet. This dude is the biggest ducker. You duck $50 million guaranteed, and you duck 50-50 on the back end. This has all been confirmed. Like, this is not my opinion, and everything I'm going to say about Anthony Joshua is not based on my opinion. This is based on fact. This is based on stuff that actually happened. That wouldn't have been a Tyson Fury resurrection had AJ would have fought this man when he called for him. When AJ had all the belts, before he fought Andrew Ruiz and lost, and before he lost to Usyk and looked stupid, he could have won the most money he's ever earned in his fucking career. The most money, the biggest bag he could have ever earned. He could have earned it with Deontay Wilder. It was the biggest fight. Everybody was calling for it. The fight had all the gas behind it. Everybody, all the fight fans had all of the gas behind the fight. We really wanted to see it. We all wanted to see it. I would have went to the fight personally if that fight would have happened. But Anthony Joshua, being Anthony Joshua, first he says, "Oh, I'll fight him tomorrow if he gave me $50 million." Then Wilder says, makes a video, goes on Instagram, and tells him to check your email. What does Anthony Joshua do? I won't sell my soul. What? So, and then people actually think that Anthony Joshua is going to beat Deontay Wilder. How? The man has no head movement. He's robotic. When he get in trouble, he goes into a shell when he gets in trouble. It's been proven time and time again. Every time he gets his head knocked off or he gets rattled a little bit, he goes into a shell. Same thing happened against Usyk. Same thing happened against Andy Ruiz in the third round when Andy Ruiz got dropped. Andy Ruiz looked up at him and said, all right, that's what you got. All right, let me give you something else. And when he dropped him the first time, that fight was over with. I remember even saying that fight was over with the first time he got dropped. And AJ just wants to get his name attached to Deontay Wilder because Deontay Wilder is the heavyweight division. There ain't no other fighter that's going to draw enough attention to the sport that's going to garner the attention that Deontay Wilder will. But guarantee y'all, I'm telling y'all, when y'all watch Dillian Shite and Tyson, the Gypsy Fraud Fury fight, when their fight's coming up, you watch how much publicity this fight gets. You watch how much gas is put behind this fight, how many people want to see it. You don't hear nobody talking about Tyson Fury and Dillian White. You don't hear it because no one cares. I don't care. No one's gonna mention that fight. No one is, and I can't blame them as to why not, because they don't garner no attention. They don't bring no excitement to the heavyweight division. When Wilder leaves this sport, the heavyweight division is gonna go back to Klitschko land. Boring.
Mm-hmm.
No one's talking about the heavyweights anymore. You know what I mean? It's going to be a whole plethora of boredom, because the only other fighter that can I see that can possibly bring the heavyweight division back to the realm of relevancy like Deontay Wilder done on his own, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? No one cares about Dillian White. No one cares about Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is only relevant because of Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua is only relevant because of Deontay Wilder. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder is the heavyweight division. He is, always will be. You see, y'all will see. Everybody who don't believe, all those people in that comment section on Instagram, they're gonna see it themselves, and there ain't gonna be nothing nobody can say. Oh man, you know Anthony Joshua's got more commercial value than Deontay Wilder. Sure he does. oh, Dillian White is more popular than. No, he's not. He's not. He's not.
Yeah. So let's just entertain the idea. I think your answer is going to be quite simple, given what you just stated. So, if they do fight, who wins and what's the outcome?
Deontay Wilder by knockout first 3 rounds. Anthony Joshua gets slipped first 3 rounds. It's probably when he make it'll be a Brazil 2.0. I'm just gonna state facts. Anthony Joshua is as robotic and as straight up and down as a Etch-a-Sketch. The man don't have no head movement. He don't move his head. He's slow as hell. Deontay Wilder's faster, more powerful than him, and he's perfect. He's perfectly made for Deontay Wilder to hit him with a right hand. He's gonna get hit. He's not gonna be able to move out of the way of it. That straight jab right down the pike is gonna knock him out. And the concrete that, look at the Usyk fight. Usyk didn't do anything special in that fight. There wasn't no grand fucking movement from Usyk in that fight. He hit him with straight left hands the whole fight. Straight jabs the whole fight. Deontay Wilder's going to punch him through his guard like he did Bermane Stiverne, and he's going to knock him out. He's going to knock him unconscious. As soon as he get hit with one of them right hands and Wilder catches him flush, over with. Good night.
Yeah, and the thing is that Joshua might look okay for a couple of rounds. You know what I'm saying? But then once Wilder finds his range, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? And the thing is that the thing that gets me when people say that AJ will knock out Wilder, for me, it's like, okay, the only time we've ever seen Wilder really hurt is obviously against the Fury fight. And we already know about that saga, that series. And does Joshua have power? Yeah. Does Joshua have more power than Fury? Sure. But Fury is bigger, longer. I mean, just speaking boxing analytics, right? He's bigger, he's longer, he's way heavier. It's just different, man. And a guy like Joshua, Wilder has seen a guy like that many times before. He's seen Brazil. He's seen Malik Scott. He's seen these type of guys. Now, are they on the same level of Joshua? Sure, maybe not. But does he have the same type of chin as Brazil and Malik Scott? I mean, yeah, about the same, or if not worse. We've seen him get hurt. Like, my whole thing is, all right, look at what Andy Ruiz did to him. Let's put Usyk to the side, because Usyk didn't stop him, even though he got pretty damn close, and some argue that he would have been stopped. But Let's put that to the side for a moment. Let's just focus on Andy Ruiz, the first fight. Andy Ruiz, who's like had what a 4-5 inch reach disadvantage, was like what 3 inches, 4 inches shorter. Who is not known for any type of footwork. He's got hand speed, but he ain't got no footwork. So for me, I get really irritated when people say, "Oh, Wilder just winds up with the big right hand." Well, how does he get into a position to land that right hand? Footwork. You don't get into position without footwork. I don't care how long your arms are, right? So it just blows my mind that people think that AJ would knock out Wilder. Well, Wilder has shown on multiple occasions to have a hell of a chin in the heavyweight division, whereas Joshua has not shown to have a chin. So the only argument that I'm willing to have is people say, "Oh, I think Joshua will try to go and outbox Wilder," but to say AJ will try to knock out or he will knock out Wilder, I'm sorry, you don't know shit about boxing. That's my opinion. You're a casual. But I agree with you. I'm Trill Will. I agree with you, bro. I think that in 5, less than 5. I think that Joshua, if they do fight, will come out in the first 2-3 rounds, try to box, try to move around, and Wilder just be patient. Wilder's going to be patient. Wilder ain't worried, and he's just going to wait to find that range. Just like you said, just against the same thing against Brazil. Brazil came out looking good. Remember that?
Yep.
He came out looking good. He came out jabbing, moving. And what did Wilder do? He's just patient, just waiting. And then all of a sudden, 1-2. Pop, pop. That's all she wrote.
You want to know something else, bro? I'm glad you said that. Wilder is a expert. He's a surgical expert at setting up knockouts. And he's going to set up Anthony Joshua. I've seen where Anthony Joshua get knocked out in plenty of fights, bro. I've seen where he gets knocked. He get his face pretty much put on a turnbuckle and the rest of his body standing in the middle of the ring. He's going to get his face knocked off, bro. It's just over with. There's no plausible scenario you can paint for me to make me think that he's actually going to have a chance. And speaking of Tyson Fury, the only way he was successful is he held Deontay Wilder in the headlock and punched him in the side of the head where he already damaged him. Go back and watch the fight. In the 3rd round, He held him in the headlock and he punched him in the side of the head when the ref went to split him. He punched him in the side of the head, which was
and you know what, Trill Will. The thing is that as grimy as those tactics are by Fury, Joshua doesn't have those abilities. Like he doesn't have that.
He's shorter than Wilder.
Yeah, but rather the shit that Fury was doing in the Wilder fight is like borderline disqualification in my opinion. He was just allowed to do it, but nonetheless, it is a dirty tactic. It is a tactic at the end of the day. When you headlock somebody, when you push someone's head down. You know, Mayweather had those like sneaky elbows that he would push people away from him.
The forearms. Yep.
The forearms, right? But the thing is like those are gray zones and it's up to the referee, right?
Right.
But the thing is Joshua doesn't have those tactics at all. When he gets hurt, what does he do? He just puts his hands up and he backpedals.
He's going to chill up, bro. I'm telling you, Wilder is going to go like this. First round, they're going to fill each other out. Wilder's going to establish his jab. Wilder's got a great jab. That's what motherfuckers who don't know boxing, who don't actually watch boxing, they can't tell you. Wilder actually has a beautiful jab. He used it against Bermane Stiverne in the first fight. He beat him with a jab. Wilder's going to set his jab up, and when Wilder can pick his shot, he is going to sleep Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's chin cannot take a right hand from Wilder at all. Tyson Fury got his whole body rocked by Deontay Wilder. He rocked his ass and dropped him for 14 seconds. with a mind-blowing punch. It shook his whole body. Tyson Fury was sitting there reminiscing on his life. His life flashed before his eyes.
Yeah, and Fury is one of, if not the biggest heavyweight size-wise as well.
277 pounds.
Yeah, and Wilder literally made his whole body do a wave, like a wave from head to toe. I want to give a shout-out real quick to my man Drew Titan in the building, man. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it tonight, bro, but regardless, I respect and appreciate your super chat, man. I have it highlighted up here. I appreciate you, Drew, man, and thank you for the birthday shout-out and for everyone else in here who is in here for this special edition Firestorm on my birthday, man. It's great to be with you guys and the family. I see this dude trying to come in, Jimmy #mob. I'm not familiar with you, bro, so if you can open your cam, I appreciate that. But yeah, I just wanted to start and kickstart this conversation because it was something that popped up on my Instagram literally hours before I went live. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to touch on this real quick before we get to the meat and potatoes of this conversation tonight. But I think that, there's a little bit of a chance, especially if Usyk doesn't get in the ring anytime soon, that Wilder might come back on social media and say, all right, Joshua, put your money where your mouth is then. You say you didn't duck me, so what's up? You know what I mean? And we'll see what Joshua was made of at that point.
bro.
I'm telling people right now, if Wilder comes out and says, hey, Usyk's busy right now, he's out there defending his homeland. So you and we can take care of unfinished business. So what's good? I'll go to London. Then we'll see what Joshua's made of.
They're gonna duck him
And
again.
then
That's why Wilder ain't responding to him. They know he already know the ploy. See, y'all, what people are failing to realize is Anthony Joshua is an opportunist. So is Eddie Hearn. They're opportunists. They're looking for a moment to where they can say, hey, I'm trying to fight. This is like Ryan Garcia. I'm trying to fight Tank. I'm trying to fight Devin. I'm trying to fight all these fighters, but you ain't doing shit to make the fight shake. You ain't doing nothing. All you doing is running your mouth. Anthony Joshua is running his mouth. Anthony Joshua know he's terrified of Deontay Wilder, which is yet another reason why he didn't fight him in 2018. Deontay Wilder gave him everything he wanted. Wilder was willing to take a flat fee, fight him in England. And how can anybody take him honoring his fucking rematch with Tyson Fury? Because Wilder's a man of his word, unlike Joshua. He's a man of his word. He honored what he said, and he did exactly what he said. Anthony Joshua, if he was so hell-bent on fighting Deontay Wilder, he would have been fought him. That shit could have been over and done with. Wilder could have walked away. AJ could have walked away. A very rich, they could have walked away. That was a $200 million fight at best. It was a $200 million fight because everybody wanted that fight. Everybody. The UK and the States. You know what I'm saying? BT Sports could have put it on in the UK. It could have came on Fox over here, and they would have sold the arena out. That would have been sold out. That would have been standing room only in that fight. Just think about it. The Barclays Center sold out when he fought Brazil. And you mean to tell me that Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua won't sell out? What? Deontay Wilder would have knocked Anthony Joshua's head into the fifth row. It would have been over with. It would have been done with. And we wouldn't even be talking about this now had Anthony Joshua had some balls and fought Deontay Wilder when he had the opportunity, when he got everything that he wanted. Eddie Hearn had a hand in moving Anthony Joshua around, and they went and took Andy Ruiz as a cherry pick, and that cherry pick didn't work out too well, did it? Now look where we are. Now we got Tyson Fury thinking he's the greatest fighter alive when he's a fucking cheater. That's all he is a cheater. He's going to go down in history as the dirtiest fighter that ever touched a pair of gloves, and he'll even fuck with them. Deontay Wilder is just by all means. Deontay Wilder is one of the greatest heavyweights of our era. Period. Point blank. No matter what people may say about him.
Yep. And to finalize this conversation, if you guys haven't seen the short live that I did a couple of weeks ago, where I said, "Laugh now and cry later," then you guys need to go back and watch that. And that was only about Deontay Wilder. And I told people, man, in that live, it's only like a 40-minute live, and I said, people out there laughing, chuckling, having a great time, disrespecting Wilder. Oh, he lost the trilogy. Fury's much better. This, and that. Okay. Just like I Am True Will just said, we about to go back into the Ice Age in the heavyweight division. Back to the Klitschko era. And it's like the whole reason why people have always loved heavyweights. Why? Knockouts. Right? Drama, intensity, the idea of like, man, I'm going to buy this fight because someone's going to get knocked out. Mike Tyson brought that. George Foreman brought that. Deontay Wilder brought that. Every time Wilder stepped into the ring, hate him or love him, I don't care what you thought about his skills, you knew there was a possibility that he was going to knock somebody out. And everybody was on the edge of their seat. And all three fights against Fury, wondering and mesmerizing if Wilder was going to get that punch in there. It's as simple as that. And now that Wilder, whether he decides to retire or stay or whatever the case may be, but if he does retire, people are laughing now, but they'll cry later. Mark my words. People will start saying all over YouTube, all over social media, damn, like I miss excitement. Damn, I miss heavyweights like, getting those second round, third round knockouts. I missed that. Oh, who was that guy that used to do that? Oh, that's right, the Bronze Bomber. That's who it was. Right? Watch and wait, because I've seen it happen before. That whole Klitschko era was boring. When I was on YouTube 10, 12 years ago, I hardly ever talked about heavyweights back then. It was boring until Deontay Wilder made his appearance in 2013, 14, and he was coming up and he won his first belt and the excitement came back. Deontay Wilder brought that back. Everybody was on standby. Deontay Wilder put the whole division on standby. Period, point blank. So that it's going to go back to that era where heavyweights are, they go hard for a couple of rounds and then all of a sudden it's hugging and tugging and clinching for 12 rounds. The, jab here, 1-2, hold, 1-2, hold, right? And everybody's going to miss, Deontay Wilder, and that's a fact. So I just wanted to put that out there. DP Rocker in the building. What's good, bro? So get that out of the way. And now let's get to the next topic at hand, which will be, I'm going to start it off with Valdez and Stevenson first. I'm going to hold off on the Spence and Ugas fight until the end because I think that's what most people are excited about at the end of the day. So this fight has a lot of interesting factors to it, right? Because we all know Valdez and his shenanigans and popping positive on a drug test, and then he fought Constantine without being punished for popping positive. He's out there crying. And I'm just keeping it a buck. Y'all don't like it too damn bad because this is just facts. He was out there crying, talking about, oh, I drank some tea. I made a mistake. I didn't know, da-da-da-da-da. Wasn't punished at all. Allowed to fight. And then he's in a fight against Constantine, which I thought that Constantine won that fight. I thought he won that fight. And if you didn't think he won it, to me, it should have been at least a draw. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree. A lot of people have came to me personally and said, oh, I think Valdez squeezed it out, edged it out, whatever the case may be. That's fine. But to sit up here and say that he won that fight easily and convincingly, I will wholeheartedly disagree with that. If you feel like he edged it out for this reason or the other, fine. We can agree to disagree. But the point I'm trying to make is now he's going against a real, true, hungry lion in Shakur Stevenson. And for people who don't know, Shakur Stevenson, he's not playing no games. He is not playing any games. He's coming in, he's taking names, and he wants to prove that he's the best. And I look in his eyes, and I see his demeanor. He thinks he's the best, and he believes that he is. So that right there is a formula and a winning ingredient, right? When you have that type of confidence, and it's not overconfidence, it's just confidence, right? It's not psyching yourself up. He's literally saying, like, I'm the best. Nobody can beat me. And he says it calm, cool, and collected. Now, when he fought Herring, that was a great fight to watch. That, for me, was a fight where it was like, all right, who is Stevenson? For me, who is this guy? We know his pedigree, amateur pedigree, the things that he's done at the amateur level. We know like how talented he is, but who is he? Because we know Herring is no pushover. We know that he's a champion. We know that he's a dog. Shout out to all my devil dogs out there, right? So we knew that Herring was going to come out there and test Stevenson. And Stevenson passed that test convincingly. So my thing is this. When I look at Valdez, and I'm thinking to myself, because I like to play devil's advocate, and I like to think, okay, what do other people think? I try not to stay in my lane too much because you get too comfortable. So what I do is I change lanes real quickly, and I'm like, all right, let me go into the Valdez lane and figure out what people are saying about Valdez, because there are people out there and content creators out here, FYI, who thinks that Valdez is going to win this fight. So I try to put put myself in the lane of Valdez. I'm like, okay, what does Valdez have to offer in this fight that can make him victorious? And everybody, to me, in my opinion, and I'm sure you can tune in on here, but for me, it's just the fact that he has the possibility to hurt Stevenson. Oh, Stevenson hasn't been in there with a puncher like Valdez. Valdez can catch him. Stevenson can look good, but then he can get caught. And we know that Stevenson does like to mix it up sometimes. So Valdez is going to catch him on the inside, sneaky uppercut, sneaky left hook, whatever it may be, and catch Stevenson. And Valdez has the experience as a pro, et cetera, et cetera. That's the only thing that I see. When people say that to me, when it comes to boxing, when it comes to sweet science, to me, that's hopes and dreams. Everybody in boxing has a puncher's chance, right? Everybody, right? So if you say, well, I just think he's going to catch him, well, then you're saying you're openly admitting to me that he's not as skilled as Stevenson, so he has to knock him out to win. That's what you're saying. That's the message you are sending to me. And I've mentioned this to a few people, and some people come back to me and say, well, Divine, you've openly mentioned that Deontay Wilder is not skilled, or not as skilled as some of the pure boxers in the heavyweight division, but he has that one punch power that can finish a fight. That's the heavyweight division. That's the heavyweight division. You don't need to go in there like prime Muhammad Ali. All you got to do is have solid fundamentals, put the jab out there, and knock a dude's head off. Right? We're not talking about the heavyweight division. In these lower weight classes, you need a lot more skill. Right? Because all you got is a punch. You can be swinging at air, or your shots are being parried all night. And that's a wrap. So that's my opinion about it. As it kind of in a nutshell, looking at the fight from afar, and I'll cook on it a little bit more, but I want my man, I Am True Will, to say his thoughts real quickly. Looking at the fight, I Am True Will, from afar, the two fighters, without really giving a prediction yet, what are your initial thoughts?
Man, I watched Shakur Stevenson fight Jamil Herring in Atlanta. And Oscar Valdez is about to get worked like a part-time job, bro. It ain't gonna be. I'll go ahead and give my prediction. Shakur Stevenson by complete, utter annihilation. He's gonna dominate every round. See, the thing about it is, during the Jamil Herring fight versus Shakur Stevenson, I was sitting ringside, so I could clearly see that Shakur Stevenson was holding back in that fight. He could have did a way more worse damage than what he actually did. And in that fight, he was completely dominating in that fight. There was no answers Jamil Herring could give that man. Now, let's go back to Roberson Conceição. Conceição beat the brakes off of Oscar Valdez, outlanded him, controlled the match the whole time, but yet and still, they gave him that fight. Shakur Stevenson is hungry. That young kid is hungry. He got an appetite for a legacy that he wants to set for his little girl. He's got a legacy that he wants to set for himself. And he thinks very high of himself and his career. Oscar Valdez ain't got enough power to keep Shakur Stevenson off of him. Shakur Stevenson, on the other hand, has enough power to knock Valdez out. I won't be surprised if Shakur Stevenson stops him. I won't be surprised at all. But I'm just going with what I know right now. I'm going with complete domination through 12 rounds for Shakur Stevenson, and he's going to walk away the new unified champ. He's going to beat the brakes off of Oscar Valdez. He's going to get the brakes beat. This is going to be karma coming back because they gave him that gift against Roberson Conceição.
So you won Conceição. You thought he won too?
Yeah, I know he won. He won by he won. It was obvious he won. Dude outlanded him in every round of that fight. Double the amount. Oscar Valdez did not land over 10 punches in any round of that fight. Go back and watch the fight stats.
Mm-hmm.
He did not land more than 10 punches in a round. I take that back. It was one round that he landed more than 10 punches. The rest of those, and even in that round, he still got dominated by Conceição. Still got dominated. Complete, utter annihilation by Shakur Stevenson. It's going to be worse with Shakur Stevenson because it's going to be more obvious. They can't gift him this fight. They ain't going to be no way they can because he's just too dominant. That kid is hungry. He's fast. He's powerful. Man, he beat the lining off Jamel Herring, and he was holding back. Yeah. Me and the dude that was sitting next to me, I looked at him and I said, bro, do it look like he holding back to you? He said, yeah. He could have went in there and he could have hit him with a couple more shots when he backed him up in the 5th round. He could have hit him with some sick stuff, but he didn't. He pulled back.
And you were rooting for Herring, weren't you?
Yeah. Herring's a Marine. I'm a Marine.
Exactly.
Just like I said, I have a lot of respect for Jamel Herring. But Shakur Stevenson is just a dog, man. He's a game dog ready for it. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And so let me ask you this. Why do you think, if you were to surmise on why certain people think that Valdez is going to pull this off, what do you think that is?
Because they crazy. They obviously don't really watch boxing, really. Dead serious. They really don't watch boxing. If you go back and watch the Conceição versus Valdez fight, you go back and watch it. And I'm talking about turn the volume down, just watch the fight and watch if you're going to score boxing, you know that 4 criteria of scoring a fight, right? You're not just going out because the commentators are obviously biased towards one fighter. If you go back and watch that fight, he got completely dominated. Shakur Stevenson is going to do him far worse than Conceição could ever possibly have done him. It's not even going to be close. Matter of fact, you can see the fear on Oscar Valdez when they did the face-off during they was taking pictures. It's on Fight Hype. You can see the fear in this man's face, and Shakur Stevenson just stood there and smiled because he acknowledges the fear he's seen on him. That boy ain't stupid. He's a game dog. He can smell fear on him. He can smell fear. That's why he's not doing all the antics he was doing against Jamel Herring. He actually didn't know how that fight was going to turn out until he got in the ring. That's why he started turning up, doing all the mind tricks, touching on the belt, and doing all that other crazy stuff that he was doing. This fight, he just been chilling on Twitter, just talking this shit. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't been that type of a fight, or he's not that. He doesn't see Oscar Valdez as the type of fight that's going to make him sweat. He's going to go in there. He knows he's going to go in there and dominate him. He knows. I know he's going to dominate him. I don't have no doubt in my mind he's going to dominate Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez got them shades on because he's scared to look that man dead in his eye. And the man who won't look in you in your eye is a man that is totally terrified of you. Cause I don't want to hear that stuff. Oh, boxers can't be scared of you or nobody. They ain't scared. They risk their lives every time they get in the ring. Sure. If you ever been in a fight, you've been scared before you got into a fight. I have. Even if I won.
Oh yeah. I don't buy that shit, man. Fear is what reminds you that you're still alive.
Exactly.
That you're not immortal. You know what I'm saying? So when people come out and say, man, I ain't scared of nothing. Yeah, you is. yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on. So it's I always find that funny. That to me, that's literally the definition of psyching yourself up. Right? I've always respected fighters that come out and say, look, this dude is talented, man. This is going to be a tough fight. Like, there's a possibility, that this or that can happen, but I'm ready. I'm in shape. I'm going to give it my all. That's my preference because that's reality. That's respect. And let's get it on. But I think, Valdez, right, and Canelo have a kind of a similar situation. I saw it in the Caleb Plant fight leading up to the Caleb Plant fight where, Plant called him out for popping dirty. And Canelo didn't like that, man. You can tell that got under his skin very, very much. And I know Valdez has taken some shots at Stevenson has taken some shots at Valdez about him popping dirty too. He made some posts on Twitter about the T or some shit. So I like that. I liked it from Caleb Plant and I like it from Stevenson because it's letting them know that, like, I don't know if you can claim all this glory. I don't know if you can have all this clout. Like, how good is your career, like, really? Like, how bona fide, how legitimate is it really? But What Stevenson is saying in particular is, it don't matter. You still can't beat me.
Right.
Drink
That
that
man,
tea if you want to. It don't matter.
he's a dog, bro. He's a dog. I got the pleasure of meeting Shakur Stevenson in Atlanta. He's a dog, bro. He's different. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to make a name for himself now. While he's good and young, while he has the opportunity to grow into something great, he's making a lot of noise. And also the most important thing, he's doing what Wilder's done, he's doing what Errol Spence has done, and he's doing what he says, because people don't care about what you are talking about. You live by what you say. But if what you say don't line up to what you do, then motherfuckers is really gonna lose interest in you real fast, especially being a fighter. You're gonna go in there being a fighter, and you over here talking about you're gonna do all this whoop 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 whoop, you're gonna beat this man to sleep, and you get in there like take for instance, we just had a perfect example with Colbert getting in that ring, getting beat up by Hector Martinez, beat the brakes off of him for the whole fight, dropped him even. You know what I'm saying? When your actions don't line up with what you say, people know how to read through that. And Shakur Stevenson is going to walk in that ring and he's going to dog this man. He's going to drag him in the deep waters early. Watch. I'm telling y'all, watch the fight. He's gonna drag him in the deep waters early. And it's going to be a massacre in there because Shakur Stevenson is going to go in there and show y'all a different side of him. I believe he can get him out of there. That's what I believe, honestly. I honestly believe he can get him out of there.
I mean, it's a simple question, right? We saw the Constantine fight. I thought I called robbery, and some people got upset at me. But let's keep it real though. Okay. Here's the thing: who's better, Constantine or Stevenson?
Stevenson by a mile.
Right. So if you say Stevenson is, even if you thought Oscar Valdez pulled out the win against Constantine, and you say, oh well, yeah, you're right, Stevenson is better than Constantine. Okay. So how, in anybody's right mind, does Oscar Valdez beat Stevenson? Even if you thought that Oscar somehow edged it out, he squeezed it out, then we all agree, right? Rather you think Oscar won or lost, that Stevenson's a better fighter than Constantine. So how? You know what I mean? Like, the thing that I do is I bounce around. It's kind of like my thing. I'm like a vigilante on this motherfucker. I go around and I listen to what people say. The reason why I do that is because I want to hear. I want to see what the people are saying to the contrary, right? I want to know what's up. I like to know my enemy, right? And so I listen, I pay attention. And the things that people are saying about Valdez in regards to beating Stevenson, my only response to that is, okay, we'll see. We'll see. Because this fight right here, let me make it simple for all the people watching in the background, because I probably got trolls and shit watching. You know how it is. I am Tro Will.
Yep.
Let me paint it out for you guys like this. This fight right here comes down to one simple thing: skill. That's it. Not power, not heart, not grit, not, oh, I'm representing this country or that country. Nope. This is all about skill. And for me, I've always said thousands of times, skills pay the bills. 9 times out of 10, man. The only division where you can alter that a little bit is the heavyweight division. Other than that, you got to have skills, especially at this level. Does Oscar Valdez outbox Stevenson? I mean, come on now. Now, I'll give my official prediction and breakdown. I'll make a video of it, and I'll state both sides. I'll do my keys to victory for both fighters. But I think you guys know where I'm leaning towards, obviously, who I think is going to win this fight. To me, to be honest with you, it's not even a debate, really, even in comparison to Spence and Ugas, in my opinion. And I think it's a matter of will. It's not about who wins the fight. It's about will Stevenson knock out Valdez, in my opinion. But, I'll keep it 100. I'll make a fight prediction. I'll be as honest as I possibly can, unbiased, and I'll break it down. I'll do keys of victory like I always do. But also, just to give people an idea, just in case you guys don't know, because not everybody pays attention to all the little details. But Oscar Valdez is 30-0. Shakur is 17-0. Oscar Valdez has 23 KOs. Shakur Stevenson has 9. KO ratio for Oscar Valdez is 77%, and for Shakur it's 53%. Oscar Valdez is 5'5", and Shakur is 5'8". And Oscar Valdez has a 66-inch reach. Shakur Stevenson here, they didn't put his reach in here, but if he's 5'8", he definitely has a longer reach than 66.
I think he has a 72-inch reach.
Yeah, which is crazy. Crazy.
He's going to establish his jab. He's going to use his jab, and he's going to go in completely dominate because he's got a beautiful jab. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Just like the thing I found out, bro, is just going to the fights and watching them on TV is two different areas, bro. It's totally different. Like you'll get a very different idea of what you're looking at if you standing there and you watching them fight. Now, I mean, if you watching them fight, you watching them on TV is one thing. You can switch camera angles. You can see a punch somebody throw. It may not land, but it looked like it land because of the camera angle. But when you sitting there and you watching the fight right there in front of you, it's wholly different. He's gonna beat the hell out of him, man. Bro, it's gonna be
there's like I've always said, there's like 3 levels, right? There's watching on TV, there's watching live, and then the final and the most absolute understanding of boxing is being in the ring with a pair of boxing gloves.
Facts.
That's when you really know, right? So there's 3 levels to it. And a lot of these people right here on YouTube who come in these comment sections and say dumb shit, those are the people that are level 1, right? They're the rookies. They haven't evolved yet. They watch this shit on TV, right? That's what it comes down to. So the reality is, man, Oscar Valdez may be in that position too. No disrespect. I respect any man who steps through those ropes. But I think he's in a situation where it looks easy from the outside. But he's about to find out. That's what Mayweather used to tell people all the time. Y'all remember that? Right? Mm-hmm. It looks easy. I'm strong. I'm big. I'm longer. I got more power. But it's different when you're in there. It's totally different. Shakur, he's got a package, man. He's got defense. He's got head movement. He's got hand speed. He's got footwork. He's a southpaw. And being a southpaw, he's got a hell of a right hand. Right? Right hook, jab, body, head. And as a southpaw, I've always said it, that's a huge advantage, man. Because not a lot of southpaws, or not every southpaw, uses their right hand effectively. They're left-handed dominated. They're always trying to get that left hand in there. Pacquiao was like that for many years until he got into the ring with the likes of Marquez and these really elite fighters where he had to get better with his right hand. So when you have, like, Earl Spence is another example. Very, very good with his right hand as a southpaw. That's what makes him dangerous, in my opinion.
His jab is dangerous, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a switch hitter. I can hit both southpaw and orthodox. So when I boxed, it was either whatever I felt most comfortable with, just depending on the opponent. Mm-hmm. You know, so hit a motherfucker left-handed. I can knock you out left-hand or right-hand, either or.
Damn.
Happy birthday.
What's up, bro? Hey, I appreciate you, man.
Well, God bless you another year.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
Will,
did.
what's happening?
What's up with it, big dog? Willie, how you feeling today, bro?
All right. Just about to get on this for a few minutes to talk about my favorite fighter, Stevenson, from the jump since the Olympics. Man, that guy, he's just overwhelmingly better than Valdez. I can't even see. Only thing that if he gets caught for him being undisciplined, that's about it. I can't think any other way he can beat him. Maybe in the inside, but Stevenson's speed alone is going to speed and accuracy. His jab, his defense is. I can't. And Valdez is not that quick. I just can't see him even. He can lose Valdez can lose every round. Opinion to me.
He may even get stopped, bro.
Get stopped by just combination of punches over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds. I just can't see him in my opinion, I mean, he's my favorite fighter, so I'm going to be a little bit more biased, but I just can't see him do anything. I really just can't see it.
Yeah, I was hoping that Valdez fans will come in here. I mean, they definitely know I'm live right now, to like state their case. But to be honest with you, I honestly think that it's just hopes and dreams, bro. They hope that he can work on the inside and try to land something. And like you said, Stevenson becomes undisciplined. I mean, nothing is on his favor other than his record. I guess he's got more fights. He's got more.
Could he get lucky? You know what I'm saying?
But that's it. Like
That's it.
the tail of the tape's not on his side. The skill level's not on his side. Like I mean, if you're a betting man and you go for Valdez to pull the upset, then damn, like you like risking your money. That's all I gotta say.
Like my opinion is that, and this is, I think Shakur is the best talent in boxing right now, and I'm dead serious. I think better than Canelo. I think better than Spence. I think better than Crawford. I think better than Tank. I think skill wise, than Devin Haney. I think he's the best. He's going to be the best fighter since Mayweather. And I'm not going to say this since Mayweather or Sweet Pea or even Sugar Ray. I really put him in that class. That's how good I think he is.
And he's the type of fighter that can move up in weight classes and dominate multiple weight classes.
Yes.
So, what are the odds? Does anybody know what the odds are? Do you guys know?
No.
Will, you like to bet on fights sometimes. Do you know the odds?
Let me check real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I think Shakur should be the favorite. I would be shocked if he isn't.
He is the favorite. I know that for sure.
But I don't think it's like a ridiculous favorite. You know, I don't think it's like a Canelo Plant favorite.
No, they never do that. They never do that. Not with a. I don't know. I can't see. No, he's not that high of a favorite because he hasn't his resume like that.
I think Canelo and Plant was like a plus 600 or 700. This one might be like 200 or something like that, maybe even 150. But he's got to be the favorite for sure. Now, all the titles are on the line, right?
He's under 375. Yeah, he's the favorite.
Yeah, 375. Yeah.
Hey, man, you under 375, you absolutely the favorite.
but that's what happens though, right? When you have a performance like he did against Herring, and then let's be honest, Valdez didn't have his best performance against Conceição, man.
Right.
He really didn't. Now, if he knocked out Conceição, then I think those odds will be a little bit different. Now, Shakur might still be the favorite, but it'll be much closer because now, you know, it's like, oh, he got the knockout. You know what I mean? And he has that punching. He's a punching favorite. So right now, it's just like, yeah, he just didn't look good in his last fight at all. And I don't know, like, Big Dog, like, what you think about that fight between Valdez and Conceição, but both I and Trill Will thought that Valdez lost that fight. What did you think?
I didn't hear what you said. My phone's acting funny. Hold on, give me like a minute. Hold on.
Yeah. But, you know, I think that if anybody out there who is thinking, you know what, man, I think Valdez is going to expose Stevenson. Hopefully you're out there, write a comment, you know, and let us know, or have the courage to come into the panel. The link is out there, because I'm sure myself and I am Trill Will, we really want to know, like, genuinely on a boxing level, like, why you think that. There's no hate, no bullshit, just like for real. Because I just, as much as I've been watching boxing for a very long time, I just don't see it happening. Now, when I give my keys to victory, I'll let you guys know what I think Valdez has to do to win this fight. But I just don't see him doing it.
I don't see a way he can win this fight, bro. Just being honest. I don't see a way, because like Shakur Stevenson is the total package when it comes to a fighter. He's a puncher. He knows how to move. He knows how to set himself up. He knows how to set up punches. He knows how to get out of the way of stuff. He knows how to read the ring. He knows how to control a fight. There's nothing that I've seen from Shakur Stevenson that would give me the idea that Valdez is a problem for him. There's nothing.
And what was Will, you see him in live, huh?
Yeah, I seen him in Atlanta.
But how was that?
It was electrifying. This dude, but he held back on Jamel Herring, like I said
I know
earlier.
I kind of see that in the fight.
He held back in a lot of rounds where he could have just, it would have been ugly if he would have just let loose, if he would turned up, but he didn't, because I think he had a respect for Stevens, for Jamel Herring. He had a lot of respect for him.
How was his hand speed looking at him live?
Look, Jamel Herring didn't have no answers for this man. He was too fast. His hand speed was like every time Jamel Herring would try to set up some offense, here comes Shakur Stevenson with a counter, and he's checking everything he's doing. He's catching punches. He's hitting them every chance. He was hitting them at will, bro.
Yeah.
He was hitting them when he wanted to. Like, he just when they stopped the fight, I was like, man, they should have stopped the fight 2 rounds earlier, bro. Jamel Herring was taking too much punishment.
I know this might be a stretch, but at some parts of the fight, it looked like Mayweather against Gotti.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
That's
that
a
bad.
Brilliant example, bro. That's what it looked like to me. Because Shakur Stevenson drowned Jamel Herring. He did that. I mean, there's nothing that anybody can tell me from what I seen standing there watching it ringside and watching Shakur Stevenson doing what he did, moving in and out, cutting the ring off, setting up his punches when he wanted to, whenever he felt like it. And he was landing with high accuracy. The dude landed just about everything he threw at Jamel Herring. So what do you think a sloppy ass Valdez is going to do against a primed up, hungry ass Shakur Stevenson?
He's not even prime yet, though. He's not even prime.
He's getting to his prime, though.
It's going to be a divine. When this man hit prime, it's going to be a different story, man.
Yep. He's 24, y'all.
He's 24 years old. He's got a little girl he want to build a legacy for. This man is hungry. He wants to prove that he's the best. He's been saying it for the longest. I've been following Shakur Stevenson for a long time. Shakur Stevenson always, his moniker has always been, bro, I am here. I am going to make a name for myself. I am going to show the world I'm the best to ever do it. I'm going to get in here and I'm going to do it. Just listen to how he talks about himself.
Yeah,
his mannerism. Yeah. He's very
disciplined. His demeanor is very validating. You know what I mean? It makes you confident as a boxing fan to hear how he speaks, how he carries himself at his age. He's very mature. And I want to say this too, for the detractors and those people out there who thinks that Valdez is going to pull the upset, because that's what we're talking about here is an upset. And you want to say, oh, well, Shakur ain't fought nobody. Well, I got 2 replies to that. Number 1, he's 24. So what do you expect as far as his age and for what he's accomplished in his amateur career? Number 2, as I mentioned earlier, the Herring fight was that fight where he hasn't fought nobody, and let's see what he can do against a veteran who's tough, who's got heart, who's got skill. That was that time for him to shine, and he passed that test with flying colors, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Like, so before the Herring fight, a lot of us who were like, I Am True Will was going for Herring. Fellow Marine.
I remember that. Yep, I remember that.
When I made my prediction, I said that I think that Stevens is going to win, but I think that Herring is going to be a problem. I really thought that Herring was going to give a young Stevenson problems just based off of experience. And I called the fight live right here on YouTube. I called that shit live. And by round 3, I pretty much knew that it's going downhill for Herring. It went downhill very fast.
Yeah, by the middle of the second round, it was over.
I agree with I Am True Will. Like, I agree 1,000% that he held back, and I think there was a lot of respect for Herring. I think he respected Herring a lot, and he ain't trying to do that man like that. But he's in there to win, and, he did more than enough to win. It's not like he had to knock him out or beat him to a pulp, but he still ended up beating him up pretty bad. Even though, you know what I'm saying? Even though he didn't go full out.
Yeah.
So I'm mad. So that's my point. I'm mad. So that's how he treats a man that he respects. How's he going to treat a man who he doesn't respect?
Woo.
And he doesn't respect Valdez, man, because he's already called the man out for the bullshit with the T and popping dirty. So you know he don't respect him.
This finna be ugly, bro.
I'm telling you. And look, every time Hans Beecham, what's good, man? I appreciate you, King P. Be a PGH big dog in the building. So people need to remember when we refer back to Mayweather Gotti, there's a reason other than Mayweather was way more skilled than Gotti on why he beat his ass to a pulp. Gotti was talking, if you remember, talking a lot of shit.
He was.
Before that fight. And he pissed Mayweather off. Do you really think that Mayweather had to do him like that? Mayweather could have went in there, jabbed him, right hand, took his time, got a 12-round decision. But instead, he whooped that ass.
He beat the shit out of him. Like when beat the shit out of him. And it was like he was styling on him, but oh my! I just remember one one little combination. He hit him with right hands like 4 times in a row, and I was like, It was just, oh man! I don't even want to talk about that fight. That was painful.
Yeah, because the thing is that like boxing fans in general were maybe they thought that Mayweather was going to win just based off of skill, but I don't think anybody really thought it was going to go down like that, because they're thinking Gotti, Warrior, even though he's hurt, he's going to try to pressure, he's going to try to make something happen. He couldn't do shit. He couldn't do nothing. I mean, he was completely helpless. And let me remind you guys again about something else when it comes to Mayweather. Think back on another performance where he beat the dog shit out of somebody who he didn't respect. Diego Corrales.
You didn't think he respected him?
I don't. Well, my point is he may have, but Diego Corrales was talking mad shit before that fight too. Yeah, there was a lot of things. Yeah. There was something that happened between Mayweather talked to one of his chicks, or he tried to talk to Mayweather's chick, or something like that. There's some personal shit behind that fight too. And so, that fight was just as embarrassing as far as, how Mayweather treated his opponent. And the difference between that fight and Gotti is like he dropped Corrales like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. I just think the Gotti fight, he didn't drop him. Do you remember that thing where Muhammad Ali, he fight, what's the guy's name that wouldn't call him by his name? Cleveland. Was it Cleveland?
Yeah.
That how Mayweather beat up Gotti. Like, he literally just gave him a beating like he was his dad. Like, just kept beating him down. Like, every time Gotti got some type of, just maybe landed a punch, Mayweather just hit him like 4, 5, 6, 7 time combinations, unanswered. And
yeah, and it was apparent. And it was apparent, not to cut you off, but it was apparent that Gotti couldn't handle the accuracy and the hand speed.
Nope.
And that is what Valdez is going to face come April 30th. Accuracy. I
completely agree.
And hand speed. And so we're going to see what Valdez's defense is like very quickly. And it's going to happen. 2 things are going to happen. He's going to go into a little shell like Gotti did and just get beat up. Or he's going to say, fuck it, this dude's too quick, so I just got to jump on him and try to land something and just let my hands go.
Yeah.
He going to get his ass beat doing it too.
He's going to get his ass beat regardless. But it just, I don't see him. Like, you know what, Divine and Will? This might be worse than Shakur fighting, what's his name? The Marine. This might be worse because Henry at least has some speed and some defense. I just can't see. Like I said, I don't want to be like that dude, just be on his nuts, but I just can't see Valdez do anything. I'm just going to repeat it like a broken record. I can't see him doing anything except for getting lucky.
Pretty much. Like I said, man, I'm gonna do my keys to victory for both fighters, man. But like just chopping it up with you, gentlemen, tonight, I just don't see it, man. And I try to give every fighter a little bit of hope, a little bit of benefit of the doubt. There's just not much there for me. And I'm not like I ain't trying to disrespect Valdez. I have my opinions about him drinking his little magic tea. But on a boxing level, I ain't trying to disrespect the fighter like that. But at the end of the day, man, there's levels to this shit, man.
Yeah.
We try to tell you people, there's levels to this. Now, Valdez, he may be, pouring out with confidence. Maybe he's been swinging a fucking sledgehammer and he feels like he's strong. Okay. You know what I mean? But this is boxing, bro. This ain't strongman. This is boxing.
I don't like when he fought Burchett. When Valdez fought Burchett, it looked like more Burchett wasn't. And I'd be honest. It looked like Burchett was even really off its game. And I think that Burchett that we seen fight Valdez is not the same Burchett I've seen before. I might be wrong, but I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Against Burchett?
Yeah, Valdez against Burchett.
I think he got lucky against Burchett. That's just me. And I think he probably was on some pads too when he fought him. But that's neither here or there.
Right. Oh, keep it about boxing, guys. All right.
I'm just keeping it a buck, bro.
But that's what they say. Just keep it about boxing.
Is it Burchett or Burchell? Is it what's his last name? Burchett.
It's Burchelt, yeah. He's Mexican.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the Burchell fight is what it is. He got the KO. All right, cool. He got the WBC belt after that fight. That's fine. But for me, the most glaring fight is his most recent one, and that's against Constantine, man. And the thing is, people need to understand that Constantine was boxing. He was moving, and trying to box. And Valdez was chasing him around and trying to land a shot. And a lot of people don't like that, right? We've been through this before. We've been through this chapter before. People don't like it. They don't like Rigondeaux style. They don't like certain fighter style.
They don't like Floyd Mayweather style.
And moving. But look, man, don't worry about Stevenson doing that because he ain't going to do that. He's going to stand right in front of him. Don't worry.
I think he has proved point. I think Stevenson's going to. Yeah, I think he's. Yeah. It's gonna. You know what? I'm not gonna speak on it no more because I think it's gonna be just about bad. It's gonna be bad, man.
It is, dog. It is, big dog. I agree with you 100%, man. It's gonna be terrible. Like the beating this dude about to get from this man, bro, is not even gonna be cool.
It's gonna be bad.
I think it's a matter of not necessarily how, but when. Because there's just multiple ways that Stevenson, in my opinion, can just dominate this fight. He could just go in there and just beat him up and not go for the knockout and just punish him. But then again, he may just say, I don't got time to bullshit around with this dude. I'm going to get him out. You know what I mean?
Playing devil's advocate, Divine, I just want to ask you this. What if, like, coming from, let's say, being a Valdez fan, what do you think he can do that he can possibly put on a good fight or even beat Shakur? I just kind of want to know this because, like, cause I'm thinking, like, I'm not as knowledgeable as you two, but I'm thinking, like, I'm really thinking through my head, and I've been watching some Valdez fights, and I'm really thinking in my head, like, what can he do? I mean, I know he has he got good head movement. I know he has a little bit of defense, and he has that left. But I mean, I'm asking you guys,
bro. Look, check me out. When I watch the fight that stands out the most to me is the Miguel Burchelt fight, because Miguel Burchelt kept coming forward with his head down. He literally walked into his own knockout. Shakur Stevenson is not that. He is not that at all. Not that at all. There was rock'em sock'em robots when it was Valdez versus Burchelt. They were rock'em sock'em robots. If you watch that fight, that's all it was, pretty much. with no stylistic matchup where motherfuckers was moving this way, cutting the ring off, special foot movement, lateral movements, and doing all this other stuff. It wasn't none of that. What it was pretty much a rock'em sock'em robots type of match. But then look at Shakur Stevenson. He's methodical. He comes in, he's analytical too. He's over here timing his punches. He's setting up punches to where he's going to get ready to go in there and do his thing to make sure that if it goes to the cards, there's no way in the hell, unless the shit is corrupt as hell, that Oscar Valdez can walk away with a fucking victory like he did against Roberson Casaccio. It's not going to go down like that. Roberson Casaccio, in my opinion, he did more than enough to win that belt. He did way more than, and I think a better fight would have been Roberson Casaccio versus Shakur Stevenson, in my opinion, because Oscar Valdez is flat-footed as hell. Go back and watch the Casaccio fight. He had no answers for him, none. Casaccio was way faster than him. He used the ring. He used the movements of the ring way better than him. He went in. He went in and cut off the ring from Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez couldn't even set up an offense against him.
Will, real quick. I know this is hard to answer, but what do you think he can do?
I don't see an answer, bro. That's the reason why I keep going back to the Burchelt fight, bro. I don't like, unless Shakur Stevenson comes in there fighting with his head down, tacky, and just being reckless, walking right dead into punches. That's the only way Oscar Valdez can win this fight, and that's not gonna. You and I both know that's not gonna happen.
Well, yeah, I'll just give you guys a prelude to how I imagine me doing keys to victory for both fighters. And for Oscar, lacking in the skills department, and also he's the shorter fighter, both height and reach as well. The only position that he can fight in is on the inside. He's got no choice, right? He's not going to out jab Shakur. He's not going to outmaneuver him. He's not a great counterpuncher, right? So it's not like he can slip and then loop something over the top. So in my opinion, he's literally got to do kind of like a peekaboo style and try to get in. If I was his coach, right? Let's just put it this way. If I'm Oscar's coach, I'm going to tell him straight, and I hope they are being honest with him. I doubt they are, his coaches. But if I was his coach, I'd say, look, man, this dude's more skilled than you. So we ain't trying to box with him. We ain't trying to outland him. We ain't trying to outpunch him. You got to get into his ribcage. You got to try to cut off the ring, try to bully him to the turnbuckle, put him on the ropes, make it uncomfortable. And anytime he lets his hands go, tie him up, right? So that's what I would do, right? Is you got to, every punch you throw is to the sternum and to the ribs. And you just try to put some water in the tank, right? Water in the basement to see if you can get him to slow down a little bit, be a bit hesitant to drop his hands, and then maybe try to get something over the top. That's the only advice that you can give Valdez in this fight. If the advice is like, oh, we're strong, we'll be fine, we're gonna try to fight fire with fire, he's gonna get massacred, man. And if I'm, like I said, if I'm his coach, I'm gonna be completely honest with them. But I don't think his coaches and his team is being honest with him. I think they're trying to gas his ass up, and we're gonna see a domination. But if I'm Oscar, I'm like, look, man, you basically got 5 rounds to get as much work into that body. You're going to get hit, right? You're going to get hit. You could possibly even get hurt to the body, to the head, whatever the case is. But you got 5 rounds to put water in that basement. If you get in the middle rounds, then we can try to see where we're at. We're probably going to be down on the scorecards. But if we put some water in that basement, maybe we got a chance to try to loop something over. Maybe Shakur gets tired.
Bro, he tried that with Casaccio. He tried that with Roberson. Roberson cut the ring off from him and stopped him from being able to come inside. Right. He stopped him. He literally stopped him. But Shakur Stevenson is more of a skilled fighter. I just don't see no way that Oscar Valdez is going to come out this thing unscathed without him getting his ass totally beat the fuck up. I don't see it happening, bro. I mean, I get your point. You're trying to see the best out of this, but I just don't see it.
Big Dog asked me a question, so I'm answering.
Yeah, I had to ask him a question.
I'll see it,
I feel you, Will. I feel you. I don't, but you know, he has to fight. I wouldn't want to say, but he has to fight dirty and inside. He has to he has to bully him. I mean, that's the only way he can even do anything with Shakur.
But can he bully a bigger fighter?
Like my man King P just said in the chat, like it won't work, but he's got to be like a Maidana. He's got to try and just be rough and tough and grab him and pull him and get his head up in there, try to make it a rugged fight, try to get Shakur off his game. And when you're outskilled, then that's the only way you can fight, right?
Yeah.
Like
I have a question.
Like when you look at like let's look at some. I don't like to put Oscar Valdez in this category, but for the sake of argument, I will. You look at some of like the brawlers back in the day, right? Like Jake LaMotta, Gene Fulmer, even Rocky Marciano at times, right? They were completely outskilled. Like LaMotta was always outskilled by Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah.
Right. But LaMotta always made it interesting because he had a fucking granite chin for number one. And number two, he was one of the best at going to the body and just keep coming forward, right? And when you're outskilled, that's the only chance you got. You're going to take damage, right? So Oscar Valdez's heart is going to be tested. I guarantee you.
Hey, Divine, I just want to say this because I don't. First of all, these like Shakur's not there yet, and Valdez is not there. But when you say this is more of a Sugar Ray and Duran type of situation, Duran was skilled as shit. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, Sugar Ray and Duran. Duran did have to fight dirty. Duran did have to fight inside to get into Sugar Ray.
Yeah, you can take. There's shades of it for sure. There's definitely shades of it. I don't think that Valdez has the skill set as Duran. Like Duran was a very good counterpuncher. He had power. He just, in general, had way much more skill, and he's obviously way more proven, right? Oscar Valdez, yeah, he's a champion, but he hasn't proven to be, like, really, to be honest, an elite fighter. And I hate to say that when you're a champion, but who was he beat to be like, oh yeah, like he's one of the best in boxing right now? He's not. He's really not.
You know what, bro? You know what really, really stands out? Like, they may have gifted him that fight against Roberson, but that hurt him more than anything because of the fact that he lost that fight. He was surprised when they announced him as the winner. I was shocked. I was like, shit, they just gonna give out. They just giving out shit today. Just generous as hell. Okay, cool. So y'all gonna put this kid in there to get his head the fuck in by a prime, ready, hungry Shakur Stevenson. He's going to come in there and he's going to completely dominate that fight. That's the wrong thing to give a kid like that, bro. Wrong thing to give a kid like that.
I agree. And shout out to my man Platboy Players. Yeah, man, I invited you to the panel tonight, bro. And I was hoping you can make it, but I know you got those late night shifts. But it's all good, man. We'll get you on here soon. I appreciate that super chat out there. And I know you're listening in at work. Yeah, I agree. And see, that's the problem when you gift fights to fighters. This is why it's not just the robbery itself. Robbery is criminal within itself, but there's actually even more reasons on why you don't. Like, for example, giving Canelo a decision over Laura, in my opinion, was criminal. Right? One judge saying that the fight against Mayweather was a draw is criminal. Right? Because it sets the wrong tone for people's careers. And people are like, well, what do you mean? Well, it gives false bravado. It's false faith. And I believe that, believe it or not, Canelo's going to run into something and it's not going to be pretty. And it's going to be a cherry pick gone wrong. I'm telling you, it may not be Bivol, but it's going to happen sooner or later. And so when you get gassed up to a certain point, look at Oscar De La Hoya, golden boy, right? Being gassed up his whole career. Eventually, he got in that trap.
But
and what happened, right?
To be fair, he ran into some monsters though. He ran
did,
into yeah.
and I give Oscar De La Hoya, like, on a boxing career standpoint, all the credit he deserves. Right, one of the best fighters in his generation, without a doubt. But look what happened though when he finally started taking some L's and taking damage in the sport. Right, that's when the whole getting drunk and doing cocaine and dressing up in fishnets and all that crazy shit happened. Right, because years and years and years of false bravado. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at some point in time, you're going to face somebody like Roy Jones. Same, like, he was dominating, and then he's going up and down in weight classes, not taking care of his body properly. And he took that loss against, who was it? Taylor, right? Mm-hmm. And so after that, it was like he just wasn't the same anymore.
Yeah, that knockout really did him in.
100%. And you know what it was? It hurt his ego and his pride way more than it did his chin.
Yeah.
And so, there's a whole reason why that you got to stay in this sport. You got to stay humble in victory and defeat.
Yeah.
You have to, because it's a very humbling sport. The minute you say, I'm unstoppable, or, you start discrediting your opponents, that's the day you actually go up against somebody that you should beat and you get stopped. Right? So with Shakur Stevenson, I was explaining this, I think, before you came in, Big Dog, to Will, that I think Stevenson's confidence is like, it's genuine, it's legitimate. It's not like ignorant, right?
Yeah.
It's not ignorance. It's like real. It's like, I put the work in and I'm going to prove to people why I'm the best. And don't be shocked if the first 2 or 3 rounds in this fight against Valdez, where he's just, he's relaxed. He's not going for broke, because you're going to see his discipline. You're going to see his maturity. A lot of people think he's going to come in there and just try to blast Valdez out. Shakur is going to show his maturity, and I think he's going to show, like, I ain't dumb. I'm not going to fall into this trap, and I'm going to let him burn himself out trying to knock me out. And then come 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th rounds, I'm going to put the hurting on him.
Divine, I just got a quick thing to say. Stormy B-Man, a while back, Shakur was he was in somebody else's corner, like training, like being his boxing. This is during a fight in his corner, being his corner man. And Stormy B-Man said something that was really carried me about Shakur. Was Shakur is always a student, and he takes it. He's trying to learn all the way, all the time. And when I looked at Shakur in the ring, being this guy's corner man, younger guy, you tell him, what he's seen and how he can use these angles and what the fight. He's literally 24 years old telling this 21-year-old what he do during a fight. And when Story B-Man brought that to me, and when I heard him, I was like, this guy, Shakur, man, is on a different level.
Yeah. And if y'all ain't subscribed to the Sensei, y'all better run up over there and subscribe to the Stormy B-Man. Dropping that truth as always, man. Shout out to you, Will, bro. I appreciate that super chat for my birthday, man. And it's always a pleasure to have you a part of the panel, man. Unfortunately, I don't do this as often as I would like, but it's a blessing nonetheless once you guys are on here. Don't show to what's good, bro. Thank you for the birthday shout out, and everyone else in here. This makes my day for sure. More than
there's somebody else on the panel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, K-Rod. K-Rod, what's good,
K-Rod.
Bro? K-Rod over, he coming up.
K-Rodius.
Lurking.
What's up with it, bro?
Not much. How are you?
Man, I'm cooling, man. How you feeling, man?
K-Rod, what's happening?
How's everything going? Yeah, everything's good. I just got back home from work, so yep.
Yeah, kick the shoes off and jump on the panel and talk about boxing. So, look, I'll let you. We've chopped it up about this fight, I think, enough now, and I want to move on to Spence and Ugas. So, K-Rod, I'll let you have the final thoughts about this Stevenson Valdez fight. I'm also going to close the poll in the chat. If you guys haven't voted, I mean, it's pretty much a landslide in the votes. It's 100% for Stevenson. So, If you haven't voted yet, then make sure you do that before I close the poll, and then we're gonna close this off with Ugas and Spence. So, final word, K-Rod. What do you think?
Can I swear on this one?
Can you swear?
Yeah.
As minimal as possible if you can.
Okay.
I know it's tough.
All right, because I'm gonna get really, really super crazy on this, but I got Shakur beating the living dog crap out of Oscar Valdez. This fight is not gonna go the distance. He's going to knock this cheating Mexican the F out, and it's going to end up like a Felix Tito Trinidad versus Fernando Vargas 2.0.
Wow.
Literally, he is going to rip his soul away. I say it again. He's going to rip his soul away. And I hope so, because you are a cheater. Get out of the sport and drop your belt, because Shakur is going to take it from you and eliminate you. Oscar Valdez, your time is coming. I'm sorry, but cheaters should never be included in any sport ever, and Shakur Stevenson will prove that come April 30th on my birthday. Let's go.
Woo!
What a
Right.
birthday present.
You get to see this massacre on your birthday, bro. That's
Bro.
And
I
on
mean,
top of that, I'm going to Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor with my family.
oh boy. Oh yeah.
Puerto Rico in the building.
Y'all know what the odds is on that fight, bro? Y'all know the odds on the Serrano Taylor fight?
No.
It's dead even.
What?
It's dead even. 115, 115.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they gonna do that though. They're gonna do that.
Man, Serrano gonna beat.
Amanda's gonna kill Katie.
She's gonna beat the dog crap out of that woman, bro.
We're gonna get two massacres.
Man, yeah. Matter of fact, they backed the Shakur Stevenson Oscar Valdez fight up just so that those ladies can have their shine, and then they come on right after that. They coming on an hour after that pay-per-view starts. So yeah, it's gonna be amazing. April's gonna be a great month for boxing.
Oh, it's great. It's absolutely we're well overdue for this type of atmosphere because of obviously going through the pandemic and being robbed and starved of so many great fights that could have potentially happened. And now it's starting to come through fruition. So yeah, super excited. And hopefully this will lead into the latter part of the year where we're going to get some more undisputed, some more unified title shots and things like that, which we're going to touch on here in just a second. Just do want to give a shout out to my man, Woke, the Truth, giving that birthday shout out. I appreciate you, bro. As always, and thanks for joining the conversation. So, finale, gentlemen. Spence Ugas, right? This is the finale. I was listening to BFTB a little bit earlier, and they were chopping it up in there about resumes and stuff like that. So, look, man, like it's starting to heat up. It is starting to heat up. And the reason why, it's not just the fight itself, which I feel is going to be a great fight, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a great fight. And so it's not just a fight, but it's also the potential and the hope and the anticipation of the winner of this fight's Bud, right? Which is ideally what's supposed to happen. We don't know if it's going to happen, right? I heard some shit that they're trying to push Bud and Josh Taylor. Really? Really? If I'm Bud, I would feel disrespected. I would feel disrespected if I'm Bud. But to try and stay on topic without going on a complete tangent, which is easy to do when it comes to the conversation of Bud and Spence and this whole dilemma.
Right.
So Spence and Ugas, right? Just like the Valdez and Stevenson fight, I'll give you guys my prediction. I'll give you guys the keys to victory. I know you guys are going to enjoy it. We got two fighters coming in here who are both champions. Obviously, Ugas beating Pacquiao, which even if you thought that Ugas was going to win it, I don't think a lot of people thought that Ugas was going to win like that. I personally didn't think Ugas was going to win like that. I thought Ugas was probably gonna win if they don't rob him in a decision. Because if you fight Pacquiao, that's always a possibility. But I didn't expect that type of performance. Ugas came in not only in shape and prepared like physically, but he did his homework on Pacquiao. And you can just see Pacquiao struggled. And I don't want people, well, he's past his prime, Divine. It wasn't just that. Ugas outskilled Pacquiao. Like,
Yes.
let's keep it real.
Stout him on the jab too.
Because nobody was talking that shit about, Pacquiao was old when he beat Thurman. Y'all weren't talking about how old he was when he beat Thurman. You're like, he's rejuvenated. He's back. He's ageless Pacquiao.
Ooh,
and a lot of us were like, all right, cool. Yeah, I mean, shit. He smacked up Thurman. All right, cool. So it's not like we came out here saying, Pacquiao got a gift decision. No, we gave Pacquiao credit, or at least I did when he beat Thurman. And I didn't come out here and play a tune of his age. I don't get into that shit. As I get older, I ain't trying to tell nobody I'm too old. Fuck that.
Me either. Shit.
So I ain't trying to hear none of that. Right? So at the end of the day, I don't want to hear none of this about, he was past his prime and he was too old and da-da-da. Y'all were saying that when Mayweather beat his ass.
Facts.
So, well, you know why they said that, though. You know why, because it's Mayweather.
That was just mostly disgruntled fans because their hopes and dreams were crushed.
Yeah.
In less than 30 minutes.
That was more about Mayweather than it was about Pacquiao.
Yeah, facts.
Right. But what I'm saying, though, Big Dog, and for other people, is that a lot of people were saying, like, it should have happened 5 years ago. And if it happened 5 years ago, Pacquiao would have beat his ass, this, that, and the third. Well, Mayweather was older, too. Not only was he older, he was, like, older as an age than Pacquiao to begin with.
Yeah.
So if Pacquiao aged 5 years, Mayweather aged 5 years along with him. So
they use that stupid Canelo and Mayweather though too. Remember, I'm not going to change the subject, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to bring this in because I like to keep things relative, and want people to understand that Ugas beat Pacquiao on a boxing level. It had nothing to do with age. He did his homework. Ugas is a guy who will do his homework, and he will do the film studies. He's going to train his ass off, and he's going to come ready against Spence. I'm telling you, right? So I want to put that out there in the atmosphere as we get into this chop session. Now with Spence, I mean, it's Earl Spence. Like, we know what he's going to bring. We know he's going to bring hand speed. We know he's going to bring durability. We know he's going to bring that vicious right hook to the body as a southpaw. We know that he can fight on the inside. We know that he can fight at range. We know that he can show patience, and we also know that he can get a little bit grimy and get in there and exchange. We know his skill set, right? So for me, this is more about Ugas than it is Spence, because Ugas impressed us against Pacquiao. But let's also not forget that, remember when people were talking about Spence Pacquiao? People thought that Pacquiao was going to beat Spence too. But after seeing what Ugas did to Pacquiao, what do you think fucking Spence would have done to him?
Annihilation.
Right? So don't forget that.
But Divine, I just wanted to interject right here. Who was saying that besides Spence haters?
Facts.
That what?
That Pacquiao was going to beat Spence. I never heard anybody else who had any common sense think that it was going to be happening.
It would have been worse if it was Spence. It would have been far
worse.
There was Spence haters who saying that shit.
Well, obviously Pacquiao fans, yeah. But I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys were subbed to the channel yet, but I did a keys to victory of that fight, and I was showing ways that Spence was going to win, more or less. I did a few things on what Pacquiao can do, but a lot of people came on that and said, "Oh, none of that shit matters about Spence because Pacquiao, he's got the hand speed, he's got the footwork, he's going to get on the inside, he's going to pepper him with combinations, he's going to overwhelm Spence." Da 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 da. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to see that fight, but it really didn't matter because Ugas stepped in and he beat Pacquiao convincing. I mean, it wasn't close.
No, it wasn't.
So it really didn't matter. I mean, because it's almost like it's a blessing in disguise for Pacquiao, because nobody wants to see a legend get beat up like the way that I thought that he was going to get beat up. And we know for a fact he would have got beaten up based off of the Ugas fight. We ain't trying to see Spence do to Pacquiao what Pacquiao did to De La Hoya.
Yeah. That's a good example.
I mean, I'm just keeping it 100, and I don't have a lot of love for Pacquiao per se. I give him his credit. He's a future Hall of Famer. I have a lot of opinions about him because I was talking about Mayweather Pacquiao for years when people were calling me all kinds of racist names and monkey lovers and all kinds of crazy shit. Oh no, I haven't forgot that, and I'll never forget that. And all of this hate was spewed out of these Pacquiao fans, and I'm just keeping it real. So I won't.
Divine,
I
real
won't
quick. I'm sorry.
judge.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm not necessarily going to judge Pacquiao based off of his demented and sinister fans, but nonetheless, let's just keep it real. Like, I don't have much love for Pacquiao based off of that, and not to mention the drug testing, and I don't believe that the fight didn't happen against Mayweather because of Mayweather. I thought it was purely top ranked Bob Arum and Pacquiao.
Facts.
Period.
Yeah.
So I don't care what nobody says. And with that being said, man, Ugas overperformed, outshined, and that's why he got this fight, by the way, against Spence. Not only is it like a unification match and all that great stuff, but the fact this fight is easy to sell based off of the fact of how he performed against Pacquiao.
They had it planned anyway. They was going to fight anyhow because when they stripped the WBA super from Manny Pacquiao when they made him a champion in recess, him and Spence had already been in talks to starting that fight, according to Derek James. They already been talking about it, but they was going to sell that fight anyway because it's Errol Spence. Errol Spence is going to sell. The only problem with that Pacquiao fight is I think it made Ugas a little too confident. You know what I mean? I see him at other pay-per-view events and stuff, not really taking training as serious as he should. But yet I see Errol Spence working. I'm talking about a focus. Right in his focus, Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. who want to shut up the naysayers. Errol Spence Jr. who wants to go and prove a fucking point. And he is going to do just that. It's man down, big fish season. It's not even gonna be. See, this is what people get wrong about Errol Spence. That man he's an anomaly. He don't come in and fight like Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao fights one way, fast hand speed, and he tries to use the ring to his advantage. But once you establish a jab like Ugas did, you ain't got no way to run. You notice he didn't have no answers for Ugas' jab. But what do you do when you put Ugas in the ring against a guy who has the most educated jab and the most powerful jab in welterweight boxing? That's the question that's going to get asked on April 16th. It's team man down, bro.
Little bias.
See, I already know I'm going. I'm team man down, bro. All day, every day.
Hashtag man down. All right. Big dog, let the people know.
Okay. I think the fight's gonna be a lot closer than what people think it is. I think Ugas got a acceptable defense. I think that I don't think Spence ain't going to out jab this to a win right here. He can't. I don't think he can. I think Ugas knows that. I think Ugas will prepare for it. And I think the fight's going to be in the inside. I can't see it being at range, and then whoever wins that inside fight, which I would probably be Spence, because Spence can go to his body, is going to win. But Spence is not going to outclass him by that much. I'll be very, very surprised if Spence outclasses him. I think Ugas has good defense, and Spence, to me, I think it's going to be an inside fight, and I think Spence will win, but it's going to be by 2 rounds. I think Ugas gonna give all he can. That's all I can say. I can't see it any different.
Interesting. K-Rod, let the people know.
Stormy.
Man, it's man down over here, man. Errol Spence is gonna eviscerate the living crap out of Ugas.
Damn.
No.
Damn,
Ugas
K-Rod.
is too predictable. He's too flat-footed. He always stands inside the pocket with you. He's not going to make any quick, fast adjustments. And I think what's going to happen in this fight is that Errol Spence, he's going to target the body early. And then I think late game, he's going to start hitting Ugas with some really mean uppercuts, in which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what a lot of Derek James fighters, usually do. But I would hope that Errol Spence can do that for this upcoming fight, because it's like if you could keep landing that same repetitive uppercut and then mix it up with some good hard body shots, then I think Errol Spence can definitely knock him out. And I would give it at least 6 rounds for Errol Spence to knock out Ugas.
What? Okay.
I like that. I like that prediction.
Of course you do.
Errol Spence's ring IQ is just different, bro. He's an anomaly. I'm telling you, that man he goes in, he fights people. The reason why Sean Porter's fight was as close as it was is because Errol Spence was fighting he was fighting Sean Porter's fight. He does that. He does it in every fight. He fights the person he's fighting's fight and does it better than him. That's why he's an anomaly.
I don't think he had a choice with. I disagree. I don't think he had a choice with Porter.
Bullshit. He could have established his jab and stayed on the outside and whooped Sean Porter's ass.
Hold your rebuttals. We got the sensei in here. I want to get the sensei's
Stormy.
thoughts, and we'll swing it back around for some rebuttals and dots. Stormy B man, I think you just finished your live on your channel, so I appreciate you taking some extra time jumping in.
Yeah, man. What y'all talking about ain't nothing, man. I just got through talking about some kung fu films, bro.
Woo!
So, no, happy birthday, Divine. How you doing, man?
All good, man. This is the best birthday present coming up in here with family, talk about boxing, and yeah, it's a pleasure. So I appreciate the birthday shout outs.
Yeah, man, and thanks for inviting me. And salute to all the brothers on the panel here, Big Dog, Trill Will, K-Rod. I see you guys, man. Yeah, I just wrapped up my show, and I like I said to you, I would try to get over here as soon as I got done. So I take it you guys are talking about the Spence and Ugas fight, and you may want to know what I think, or maybe you don't. But hey, listen, it's a fight, and two guys, two different styles, two different mindsets. The thing about Ugas, and I said this after he acquired the that WBA belt, I started calling him Hollywood Ugas because it's like I didn't see much about his personality prior to this, but it's like he really seems to have this engaging personality. Like he's happy, he's happy to be here. He's happy to be invited to the party and whatnot. And now it's his chance to get out on the dance floor and show everybody his moves. He's going in against a heck of an opponent to try to do that against with high stakes. This man, Spence, wants those belts. You know what I mean? He wants to acquire them. That's what his motivation is. And sometimes when a guy is highly motivated like that, it's hard to get them off track with that. Now, if you want to think about the sidetrack things that he didn't have any control over, like, the eye situation and stuff like that, the only thing I can say is I hope that he comes back and he's able to perform where it's not a detriment, and that he can get his opportunity to do what he wants to do. It's up to Ugas to try to turn that around. And is he capable? Possibly. Sometimes when these guys, and there's probably only a little bit of differences separating these guys at the top of the division. And a guy can have a bad night, a guy can have a good night. I think Spence should be favored, but we don't know how Ugas will take that. He might use that for motivation. It's very difficult, especially when someone doesn't speak your language as a first language or whatever, or even as a second language, and you can't really get a read on what their feeling and thought process are. I don't think that people thought he would fight Manny Pacquiao the way he did and be as successful as against Pacquiao like he was. The only thing that Spence has going for him is that not the only thing, but he could assess that and be like, okay, I know what I got to do against this guy because he's shown a different wrinkle or whatever. But styles make fights. I don't really have a favorite in this. I just want to see a good fight. May the best guy win, and I hope that they turn up. When I saw that fight between, what was that, Lara and Sanchez this past weekend, I was like, man, look at these guys. I didn't even know those dudes. And after seeing that fight, I was a fan of both of them. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts when it comes down to this. I just want to see a great fight. I want to see guys that are at the top of the sports and divisions facing each other. Because until they get in the ring with one another and pose challenges to one another, we don't really know what they have. We don't know what they're capable of. We need to see them go through the process.
Right. Yeah, and I got the tail of the tape up there for everyone to peep at. If you're not looking at the screen right now, I have it up. For you guys don't know, Earl Spence is 32. Ugas is 35. The height for Spence is 5'9.5". And Ugas is 5'9", so relatively the same. Where Spence has an advantage is that reach, though. He's got 72 to Ugas' 69. Both welterweights, of course. And as we all know, Earl Spence is a southpaw. So I guess you can give the slight edge or the advantage to Earl Spence as far as the tail of the tape is concerned. He's younger. He's got a longer reach. He's slightly taller. As in regards to being a real welterweight, they're both real welterweights. Nobody's moving up. Nobody's really coming down. Both have been at the division for a while. And it's going to be a true welterweight showdown. And this should be the precursor to who is the best in the division. So that's the next topic that I'm going to swing it around to. We put
Divine,
go ahead.
Can I throw something out there for you too? Just think of it like this. Do you remember when De La Hoya fought Ike Corte going in, how everybody was thinking about that fight going in? You had certain people riding with Corte because they thought that, he had that punishing jab, and they thought other people riding with De La Hoya, not only for national reasons, but they thought that, De La Hoya might have been better, let's say. But that turned out to be one heck of a fight, and they dropped each other and everything, and we weren't even expecting that type of action. And both men showed a lot of resiliency and heart. I kind of think of that when I see this fight on the horizon. It's like,
I more or less agree. I know K-Rod and Will, they're more leaning towards a man down type situation, and Spence wins by knockout. I think it's going to be more of a closer fight than that. I'm not going to give a prediction. I'm going to make you guys wait for my official prediction and breakdown video, but I do believe that it's going to be a much closer fight than what people expect. And Ugas is a savvy vet, man. And I mean, I do agree with what K-Rod said in regards to being a little bit flat-footed at times. He's not the slickest or the smoothest fighter coming in and out of range, but he's got a lot of boxing ability, man. He knows how to avoid punches. He's a very good counter puncher. He doesn't have the best power in the division, but he does enough to make fighters respect him a little bit. And so I just feel like this is going to be a very entertaining fight, man. And as it should be, as what Stormy B-Man just said, that's what we want. You know what I mean? And what we want is one of these two gentlemen to prove to us who's the next man, who's going to be the king of the hill, right? King of the mountain, welterweight division. I mean, it's long overdue for us as boxing fans to know who indeed is the best in this division. So we want to see a good fight. I think we can all agree on the panel that what we don't want to see is some shenanigans and, and do some bullshit robbery or have a bullshit stoppage. Let these two men fight it out. You know what I mean? Let them prove it. Let them put it all on the line. And they've both earned this. They're both in a point in their career where they've earned their right to really put it all out there on the line. And, so let me turn the conversation a little bit, still on the same topic, but just change the topic a little bit. Now, I'll say this first and foremost. What I don't want and what I will not accept is if Spence beats Ugas, I don't want to hear no bullshit from people talking about, oh, well, he's old, or, oh, he beat an old Pacquiao and, this was expected. Give Spence his credit. If he goes in there and beats Ugas, for real, I don't want to hear no bullshit. And I have a feeling it might be coming because there's a lot of people out there that don't want to give Spence credit. But I'm giving everybody a warning now. Don't do it. Because beating Ugas, especially if he wins convincingly or by knockout, he earned that against a very credible fighter. Right? To that point as well, to further that point, if Ugas wins, same thing goes. I don't want to hear no BS. Ugas earned that. And he beat a top welterweight, if not the best welterweight. Give him that respect. So, with both of those points made, the final point that I'm trying to get at is, what are we really looking at here in the welterweight division? What are we really looking at? Belts are on the line, fellas, for this fight, by the way. So whoever wins this fight, in my mind, the only other fight to be made is undisputed. So what is Bud going to do? So let's just say Spence wins the fight. Is Bud going to step up? Let's say Ugas wins the fight. Is Bud going to step up? Now, I think there's a lot of people. We're going to find out everyone's thoughts here on the panel. But I think there's a lot of people out here that feel like if Ugas somehow wins this fight, that Bud feels fine fighting Ugas, but he doesn't really want a part of Spence. Even if Ugas puts on a phenomenal performance, Bud will never want a part of Spence. That's a matter of an opinion, and we'll see what the panelists say. So the question is, for the panel, will we get undisputed? After this fight, will we get undisputed? Will Bud, because it really does come to Bud at this point, right? Is, all right, well, now we know who's the better out of Spence and Ugas, right? We've settled that now. So, Bud, what are you going to do? So I'll swing it to Will first. What do we expect, and what do you think is going to happen after this fight as far as undisputed for the welterweights?
A dog and pony show. And I think it's going to be like Spencer already done said what he was going to do. I mean, that's neither here or there, but he's already pretty much said what his plans were after he fights Ugas. Whatever happens in this fight, he's gonna try to make that fight with Bud. But I mean, just seeing how they moving now, and just I hope Bud takes the fight for his sake. He needs to take that fight. I mean, there's no other way around it. Like then, like if just let's just say Spence wins this fight and he pursues Bud, and Bud comes with the same stuff that they've been coming with. Talking numbers, talking all kind of stuff that ain't got nothing to do with everybody else's public opinion. Then what? You know what I'm saying? That goes to concrete the fact of everything that the so-called Bud haters have been saying. But, you know, at the end of the day, I hope Bud makes this fight. I hope he does. I hope may the best man win. It's going to be an excellent fight to watch. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat looking for it to happen. I want it to happen. I mean, that's just my opinion. I just want it to happen, no matter who wins.
Big Dog, will we get undisputed after this Ugas and Spence fight?
I don't think they have a choice. This is who doesn't make the fight happen. Bud or Spence, it doesn't. It's not going to look good for them. They don't have a choice. This is the fight. I don't think neither one of them are scared of each other. I think they're both dogs. I think they both want what they want, and I cannot. I mean, if this fight doesn't happen if Spence wins, this fight does not happen. I'm done with the welterweight division until Boots and Ortiz do what they have to do. I'm serious.
I agree with that. It'd be damn disappointing if we don't get undisputed. And there's some hopscotching, jumping around, ducking and dodging. It'd be damn disappointing. K Rod, will we get undisputed after this fight?
Honestly, like I have to say no, but I mean it has to happen. This fight is too big of a magnitude to not happen, and it's all up to Crawford at the end of the day. Errol Spence has kept his word truthful, and I'm going to stand behind that. So please, give us undisputed, and that way the welterweight division can reset, and boxing, as a whole can, like basically rebirth itself to like a brand new era of fighters.
Sensei, take us home.
Well, I would have to say after this fight, it does not happen. And for none of the reasons that anybody else has said on the panel. Undisputed in boxing today could happen in any weight class, but it hasn't. And it hasn't because the PTB don't want it. There remains a certain type of control over the sport that if you could not see it over the time, when you think back on fights that should have happened to make Undisputed take place and it didn't, something always came about to interfere. Sometimes even unnatural things that you couldn't guess that would happen. Look at the Cambosos Haney situation right now. That fight should be happening. Boom. No problem. But it's not. But look at how easily they aligned it up for Canelo. Boom. They wanted him to have that. That's what he'll be able to carry off into the sunset for himself, even though he didn't earn it against fighters that would have been more gratifying to see him defeat them under the process and under that type of scrutiny that you were really challenged. He beat a myriad of guys that at the end of the day, the very guys that he's avoided could possibly have done the same thing. But the fact that it wasn't those guys, I have like that little asterisk next to his accomplishment. The Usyk thing with Joshua, he moved right up there to fight Joshua for those belts. And then Fury got the WBC away from Wilder. They were talking about making that fight. And then everything else happened like what you're seeing now. We got war going on, different things like that. So it's like there's always something that's unforeseen. And how many guys is it that are actually undisputed in the sport now? With Canelo, didn't that make 6? If I'm not correct. So, and how many weight divisions are there? Just think about it for a moment. There's something going on with that. Numbers, figures, all of that stuff play a part, but I do believe that it's being controlled. And because it's being controlled, when it is accomplished, it's who they want to accomplish. There's no surprises here. None. And just like the Charlo Castano fight came out as a draw, so they have to do it again. But we've already had one situation happen already with their camps, and it's like one guy says he's hurt or something, and will it happen? Will a rematch happen? Now they're supposed to be back on track, but what's going to happen? Will one of them actually become undisputed? I would love to see it, but something is telling me it's like it's the sport. We're being strung along. We're being strung along, and our dollars are important, but our sense and sensibility is even more important. You should be able to see these things, and I'm not confident. If they surprise me or if they go against what I say and it is accomplished, wonderful for the sport of boxing. But I've been watching boxing a long time, and you don't always get what you want most of the time. And that's what's terrible about the sport.
Very, very well said. A lot of elegance there in those words. So let's make it a simple question then, because we don't know, right? We always hope as boxing fans we're going to get to see, a fighter prove himself to say, I'm the best in division, I beat everybody, et cetera, right? So we hope for that, but we may not get it. So let me just ask this then, so everybody knows. Who's the best in 147 right now? Will.
Errol Spence Jr. He's simply the best. I mean, resumes matter. He's the best. I mean, I can't think of another fighter that has the pedigree of Errol Spence Jr. I can't. The man was in a car wreck and fought Danny Garcia. And even though he admitted to when he did his interview, he said he was like at 85%. He still performed. Just he looked like he didn't miss a beat. No ring rust, no nothing. Just he came in there and fought a great fight. Did what he was supposed to do. I mean, Errol Spence he has my vote for the best welterweight. Bud Crawford is second. You know what I mean? That's my vote.
K-Rod, who's the best in 147?
EJ, hands down. It's man down until it's, no more EJ. But yeah, Errol Spence, man. Ever since high school, Errol Spence has shown to me that he is the most dangerous fighter out of the entire division. And I think every single fight that you've seen him in, he's gone, certain levels that upgraded his skill set from every single tough fight. And just based off of how much he's grown with Derek James and how much experience he's gotten from all of his like world championship level fights, I think that's a perfect example of what a high class level legendary fighter should always be. Keep taking those mega risks and keep benefiting off of it. But even if you win or lose, and I just think Errol Spence is that perfect fighter that shows you how to carve yourself a great path to be the best in the world. And, that could be easily translated to any other sport. So I'm definitely going to have to say, Errol Spence, he's proven everything.
Stormy, who's the best in the division right now? 147.
Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford has gone through 135, 140, and now is campaigning at 147 and has proven himself to be the best as he's made those gains. The only thing that hasn't happened is he hasn't fought the one guy that everybody thinks is the best yet. I personally would have loved to see him fight Ugas before he got to this stage, because for some reason I understand that Ugas has some amateur victories over him and stuff like that, but I always felt like that's a fight that I would would have just liked to see him. I never got a chance to see what it looked like in the amateurs when they faced each other or whatever. But I just thought that stylistically it was a good fight for Crawford. But because of the versatility there, there's a little bit something else under the hood that I've seen where the competitive nature that he has is what you want at the championship level. The fact that he can fight against the naysayers is like, and it don't bother him. It's like he will go in there. He knows that there's a lot of people that favor Spence over him and stuff like that, and that's fine. People can like who they like and why they like them and all of that. But my thoughts about it are based in just certain things that I have seen over the years of watching him. I remember the very first time I saw him fight. I said, who is this little dude here? And there's some marked examples of something similar that I've seen in the past. There's something like Sweet Pea that I saw in there. There's something like Hearns that I saw in there. And the fact that he can switch orthodox and southpaw and fight basically the same on either side, but he seems to prefer to be in southpaw mode like Hagler. Those are things that should not be overlooked. And when I talked about Hearns had this thing about when he gets you hurt or he try to get you out of there, it's like a switch turns and he becomes a very sinister individual in there. There are just things that are familiar to my overseeing what he's accomplished. And again, I can't wait to see the fight because I want to see if I'm on point. I do feel I am, but you have to see these guys go through the process. You can never anoint someone before it happens. But when you ask me like this, it's like, why do I think? I give my reasons of why I think, but that doesn't mean I'm detracting from anyone else or what they do or what they've accomplished. My thing is, I don't ever hear anybody talking about what the man accomplished. They always are talking about that it was never enough. And if it was never enough, why didn't people run their asses over there and fight him and take the belt away from him when he first came up? If they were going to do something to him, that would have been the best time. Because he hadn't grown into the weight. He was still coming up and everything. He's settled into the weight now. He's a welterweight, regardless of what anybody thinks or feels. And at the end of the day, it's going to have to be proven in the ring. And I do believe he has what it takes to be there, but we'll see who it's going to be. If it's going to be Spence, it'll be against Spence. If it's going to be Ugas, it'll be against Ugas. But I think that he's the best. And that's not a slight against the other two men, because one of them are going to prove who's the best between them two. And then they're going to have to prove me wrong against Crawford. So that's the way I see it.
I want to give a quick shout out to my man, Big Dog, man. Thank you for coming on the panel. And also thank you for that super chat and for the happy birthdays, man. I appreciate you. And you know you're always welcome on the panel. And to everyone else, thanks for dropping by. Make sure you guys have hit that like button if you haven't yet. Get those likes up. Get it all the way to 50. There's no reason why we shouldn't be at 50 likes by now. And once again, thanks for joining me here on my birthday. It's been a pleasure. So a little bit. So we got two people saying that they think that Spence is the best right now. Stormy says that he thinks it's Bud right now. I guess so. I gotta be that person. I gotta be that fourth person, I guess, on the panel. Let me put it to you this way. In my opinion, Spence is the best for 147-pounder right now. But I think Bud is the only one who can take that crown from him. I think he is the only legitimate threat, in my opinion. I do believe that Spence beats everybody else in the division. And that goes for Boots, that goes for Ortiz, that goes for Thurman, that goes for all of them. I think Bud is the only one who has not only just like a chance, but a real chance to be that guy who can, possibly even stop Spence. And yes, I said it. Possibly even stop him if they do fight. But if you were to ask me right now, it has to be Spence. He's the best 147 pounder. He's more established at the weight class. He's damn near fought everybody at the weight class. And as a 147 pounder, he's the best in the division right now until proven otherwise. So that's my opinion. I guess Stormy, you're a little bit overpowered, I guess, on the voting here. But at the end of the day, all valid points, and I think we're talking about a number one and a number two. Rather you have Bud 1 or Spence 2 or whatever the case is, we're talking about 1 and 2.
Let me tell you how bad boxing is today. Who on the panel here thinks that the fight between Porter and Spence was a pretty damn good, if not great, fight?
Say again one more time, sorry.
Who on the panel here thinks that the fight between Spence and Porter was a pretty damn good, if not great, fight?
I thought it was a phenomenal fight.
The reason I asked that question is, in a different era, those guys would have fought a couple of times, if not 3 times. And see, that lets you know the mired muck of the sport that it's become. We are denied the best of the fights. Now, that fight was close, and Earl edged out a victory. But it would have made a great fight to run back. But because it was a unification fight and it's like there's other agendas afoot or whatever, we don't get another fight. And now Sean has retired. And that's bad. It's bad. So even if the fight between he and Ugas turns out to be a Pier 6 brawl, we won't get a second fight. Or maybe we would. That might be the thing that would keep the unification for Undisputed from happening. But if you look at what I'm saying to you, this is the difference in the sport of today. It's like, dude, why we can't get what we want? We're asking for the best against the best, right? If it turns out to be one hell of a fight, just because a guy is able to collect another belt off of somebody, does that mean we can't see it again?
Yeah, especially when it's a great fight.
Yeah.
I want to ask Will something. Will, what do you say to the people about this conversation, right? Who's the best or what was the best fight? And I think to Stormy B-Man's point is Sean Porter, right? Both Bud and Spence fought Porter, right? So what do you say to the people that said, well, I mean, at the end of the day, Bud did a better job?
Well, I say this. In the Bud Crawford versus the Sean Porter fight, we were robbed to see what the end was going to be. I feel like that. I still feel like that. I feel like if that fight would have been allowed to continue, what could have happened? We got a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas that would have happened, but we don't know. We got robbed of that. But also I take into an account of what Errol Spence said after that fight. I remember him saying he wasn't focused. He wasn't focused on camp. He was just basically in a fat camp. He didn't really do any strength and conditioning. So there's a lot of elements that could have went in that. But I mean, some people would use that as like saying he was making excuses or whatever, but it's just facts. It's what he said. It's what came out the man's mouth. But the way I see it is, and when you ask the question, I was thinking strictly on welterweights. Like, what have you done at welterweight? And I get that Bud Crawford had a stellar career coming up through 135 and 140. I get that, but I'm strictly talking about 147. Who's the best at 147? Who's the best? Who's the man at 147? You know what I'm saying? And it all goes into like Stormy said. I agree with him 100%. Like but the thing goes vice versa though, because those critics are going to go out and say, well, nobody was really trying to edge up the fight Bud Crawford, but Bud had an opportunity to fight Errol Spence, but he turned that down to go and fight Jeff Horn. And I mean, that even came out of his trainer's mouth. But when you're looking at who's the best, like at 147, and I'm talking strictly at 147, I would still edge it out to Errol Spence because number one, the better resume compared to Bud Crawford at 147. What he's done at 147, the actual physical attributes that he's done at 147, and just looking at that, but just strictly for what it is, 147. And I mean, that being said, that's the only reason why I can say, well, if you're looking at Errol Spence versus Sean Porter and Crawford versus Sean Porter, I would say it was more of a hell of a fight given the circumstances that Errol Spence was under. And then on top of that, you had a prime and ready Bud Crawford, who came in and did what he's supposed to do. But at the end of the day, at the end of that fight, we got robbed of what we should have been able to see. I wanted to see Bud knock him out. I got robbed of that. I wanted to see him knock him out. That's what I want. I wanted to see Sean Porter on the canvas knocked out because nobody's ever done it before. And to give him that go ahead, Doc.
Sorry, I'm gonna swing it back to Stormy just in a second, but I want to get K-Rod in here just for a sec on that point because I want to get to the bottom of this because there's actually a very hot button topic, which was the ending of Crawford and Porter. And the whole reason why I brought that up is because there's still a lot of people right now that are saying that Crawford is better than Spence because he did a better job against Porter. But to the contrary of that, there are a lot of people saying, to Will's point, that, well, I guess, but we didn't really get to see the ending that we deserved. We were robbed of something else that could have been greater or whatever the case may be. So let me go to K-Rod first. So we can get to the bottom of this. K-Rod, do you agree with what Will's saying as far as the stoppage of the Crawford and Porter fight? And what do you say to the people that do say Crawford's performance was better than what Spence's performance was against Porter?
Yeah, I agree. I think, honestly, that fight should have just been played out, based off of, how the second knockdown would have played out. And if Porter was able to, hang on or get knocked out by Bud, at least that would have been a lot more honorable and a lot more a lot more better to see what the outcome would have been heading into that late game stage, because Crawford definitely had his momentum primed in to be like, okay, I'm going to go in here and definitely knock him out, because I don't know if I am winning, but I definitely want to, show to the audience why I am pound for pound number one. So to me, as a fan, even if I actually went to that fight, I personally would like to see what would have happened, because if Porter was able to do what he was supposed to actually do, to go out on a shield, then to me, I would say let him go out on a shield, because it's you pay big money to go to that fight. And I think, you have to give, that fighter the opportunity to do what they need to do to prove themselves as that fighter. So, that's just my thoughts. And I think Terrence Crawford definitely needs to be given that, opportunity, because let's just say if it was Errol Spence being put in that same situation, me personally, I would like to see Errol Spence try to go out on a shield if he was going to get knocked out, similar to Sean Porter, fighting Terrence Crawford.
Right. So before I start, I know Stormy's ready because I have a feeling on his approach here. Let me ask one more final question for both Will and K-Rod here. Did you have Spence winning the fight? Sorry, not Spence, Porter. Did you have Porter winning the fight up into the stoppage? Did you think it was a draw? How did you see the fight before the stoppage?
Porter was winning.
You had Porter winning, Will?
Yes, Porter was winning.
Okay.
Bud was slow to start. He was really slow to start. And it was so bad that his corner told him he was losing. He knew it. That's why he turned up in the later rounds. That's why he turned up and it's almost like in the second half of the fight, Sean Porter kind of let off the gas a little bit to me. But
all right, so you had him up, and then that's why you feel that the stoppage was a little bit lackluster, because it was a great fight. The tide was turning, and then it was stopped prematurely.
Yes.
Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That is absolutely correct, actually.
Okay, cool. K-Rod, is that more or less on the same opinion for you as well? Maybe he fell asleep. So he'll probably jump back in. But all right, Stormy. So I'm going to swing it back to you now, because you and I have had this conversation behind the scenes, and I've been on your panel, and I've heard your thoughts, in particular, the Crawford and Porter fight. And so I'm going to swing it back. So you have two gentlemen on the panel, which we all have respect for, saying that, essentially, we got a lackluster stoppage. And Porter, in their opinion, was winning the fight up until the point of the stoppage. And with the topic at hand, whose performance was better, Spence and Bud, because that's where the little bit of the trickiness comes into play, right? Where it's like, you give Bud the edge because he did actually get the stoppage. It wasn't a knockout, but it was a stoppage nonetheless. So I'm gonna let you give your thoughts, because I wanna drill this home, and I want to get to the bottom of this, because it is a very hot button topic amongst a lot of different YouTube channels right now talking about this fight or fights. So Stormy, go ahead.
I've said this before about this fight. I think that for the first time in his professional career, Bud Crawford had a problem with his opponent in Porter because they were friends. And I think it showed in his performance, because he didn't go after Sean Porter with the same fervor and aggression. If you could do me a favor there, as I say this, Divine, could you highlight Coach Chris's comment there where he says Crawford is ridiculous? The thing that I noticed as I'm watching this fight, it was like Bud was like, he didn't have it in for Porter. It was like, it was interesting, because I've seen him, I told you I watched the guy, and in that round where he was sitting on the stool and one of the people told him that, I think you're losing. He's up. And he was like, he's up. And he was like, what? And they was like, yeah, I think they got him up. Man, he goes right out there and puts the dude on his ass. It was like that switch that we talk about. Coach Chris knows what I'm talking about. He's stating it in that remark right there. This is the difference that I was speaking of in my last comment about Bud Crawford. And he no longer looked at Sean as his buddy. He looked at Sean as a guy that's getting ready to take something away from him. And he changed it. Now, the thing about Kenny stepping in and stopping the fight, I think that was a duality there. First of all, he knows Bud too. He knows Bud. Bud was going to fist fight him in an alley when he was like 16 years old. Kenny didn't want his son knocked out. And we're not talking about this competitive thing where you guys talk about, a guy going out on his shield and stuff like that. Not the Deontay Wilder thing. This is not that. This is something where it was coming. Because when he went down the second time, it was like, okay, 3 knockdowns and the fight is over, right? But this is not that. Bud was going to turn it up. Kenny knows that. he saved Sean from that. Now, would Sean have wanted him to save him from that? I don't know. Only Sean could answer that question. But I was able to make an assessment there that this was no longer what it had been for the previous, 7 rounds or 8 rounds or whatever it was. And now it's coming down to something that the very thing could have happened earlier in the fight. But for whatever reason, it's like when Angelo Dundee leaned over into Sugar Ray Leonard's ear and said, "You're blowing it, kid. You're blowing it. You got to be quicker. You got to take it away from him. You're losing this fight." And Ray Leonard goes out there and he takes Tommy Hearns out. The thing is, it can happen in boxing, but when you have a talent who's capable of turning it up like that, it collapses like a house of cards because people just don't see these things going like that. You can basically say the guy was sleepwalking through the other rounds. After the fight, what was it, the very next day or that following Monday, if it wasn't the following Sunday, he was on Sean Porter's show, and they sitting up talking and everything. They're friends. And there are different types of friends because if you listen how Sean talked about them, Sean said nobody would talk to the guy. Nobody would interact with him. He said, so I went over and I made friends with the guy. Bud seems like a real guy when it comes down to stuff like that. And their friendship is probably more solid than the average kind of guys that's in that same profession like that. And if you remember, in the aftermath, he said about Sean, he was like, I tried to tell him, don't let them use you. Don't let them push you out there so they can gauge me against you and stuff like that. He was like, we boys. Yeah, but it's like, if we got to fight, we'll fight. But if we ain't got to fight, we ain't got to fight. And now he got a stoppage, but at the same time, people complaining that it was a stoppage. Okay, well, if Kenny stepped in and saved Sean from being knocked unconscious or at least knocked down for the third time, because it was early in the round, what's the difference when Green Beans got that punch in on Bud? He slipped to his knee, but everybody act like Bud was down for a long count and everything. He slipped to his knee, and it's like they treat it like, oh, he got dropped by Green Beans. Okay, but what happened to Green Beans after that, though? He got stopped. I don't know. Whatever it is that people don't want to give this man his credit, but I've seen things like this happen before in the past. Antonio Tarver, when it came down to Roy Jones, Evander Holyfield, when it came down to Mike Tyson, it's like they're not going to be happy until he goes out there and do it against somebody you think he can't do it against. Then it's going to be, oh, well, damn. Yeah. That's what that is. And, those are my thoughts about that. But again, I make assessments based on things that are all inclusive, not just, this guy got a better jab, got a harder punch, blah, blah, blah.
Was there anything that you guys wanted to rebuttal on that, Will or K-Rod?
Yeah, it all sounds good, but and I'm sorry I have to disagree with the sensei. Bud has always been a slow starter. That's been one of his Achilles heels since I've been watching Bud, and I've been watching him since he had dreads in his hair. Bud has always been a slow starter. But what do you do when you put him in the ring against a higher caliber kind of fighter at 147? What do you do? What does he do then? What does he do against an Errol Spence who don't slow down, who don't do like Sean Porter did and lunge in for a punch so he can get caught with something? Because that's what happened. He lunged in and got caught with something. What do you do when you go against a systematic machine like Errol Spence? The Buddy story sounds cool, but it makes the story look a little bit suspect. Like, did you lay down? Because obviously Sean wasn't hurt. Like everybody try to make it sound like Bud did all this damage. Oh man, he dropped him twice. Man was frustrated on the canvas, punching on the ring. And then here comes his daddy waving the daggone towel to end the fight. We don't know what would have happened if that fight would have went on. We don't know. Nobody knows. It's all speculation. This is what that's what I was complaining about. The fight was ended prematurely. I feel in my heart, that's my opinion. I feel like that fight was ended prematurely. We don't know what could have happened. I done seen fighters get dropped before and come back and knock out somebody. Done seen it. You seen it with Riddick Bowe versus Mike Tyson. You seen it. Everybody done seen this stuff. If you watch boxing, y'all seen this stuff happen before. You know what I'm saying? But this ain't it. I mean, you can say Bud's a killer against who though? Against who? I mean, then that's when you go in and comparing resumes. That's why I'm sticking strictly to facts. I'm going straight off of who you fought at 147, not 140, not 135. I'm going strictly off 147. And if you put Bud Crawford in there against an Errol Spence Jr., it ain't going to go well for Bud Crawford. Him being a slow starter, that is his Achilles heel. Nobody can explain to me how is it going to be possible for a Bud Crawford starting slow to think he's just going to pop off the stool and Errol Spence is going to let up and open himself up for a shot. It ain't going to happen. It's never happened in Errol Spence's career. He's never been dropped by anybody. He's been buzzed a couple of times. Of course, it's boxing. Of course, it's going to happen. But you've never seen Errol Spence take a knee. You've never had Errol Spence's jaw or chin in question. You never had that in question. And you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Despite the fact of what everybody else want to believe, who thinks Bud is some Superman and he ain't capable of getting pieced up by Errol Spence. And I ain't saying Errol Spence is God. He's not. Every man has his flaw, but I'm just saying in a match between Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, I just do not see Bud Crawford going in there and dominating Errol Spence for 12 rounds. I don't see that happening. I just don't see it.
Are you basing that mostly off the fact that, like you said, he's a slow starter, so you feel like he'll get too far behind and
he'll get way behind. And Errol Spence does not stop. You've heard it from Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, everybody who's done fought that man so far. They all said the same thing. That man he comes and he keeps coming. He's not going to stop until that last bell rings, or at least you're out of there. That's the only way he's going to stop. He's not going to stop. He's not. Bud got hurt several times against Porter. Several times. And every time, and when a fighter's hurt, every time they smile and grin and stuff and try to pretend like it was okay, it was cool, you got your little shout out. No, he was actually fucking hurt because Bud was holding a whole fucking lot in that fight. Let's not forget that. He was excessively holding him. I mean, I watched the fight. I turned the commentary off and I watched the fight. Bud was holding like a motherfucker in that fight, bro. He was holding, hoping he didn't get caught with something. Because every time Sean Porter lunged in with that punch, he was catching him with something. But that ain't Errol Spence. Errol Spence is more methodical than Sean Porter. Sean Porter leaves himself open for a lot of shots. That's why he got caught in the 11th round against Errol Spence. That's why when he fought Ugas, that's why a lot of people throws that fight in the air. Ugas, a lot of people say Ugas won that fight because Ugas was more methodical with his jab. I'm not just saying stuff because I'm an Errol Spence fan. I'm telling you facts. This stuff is that you can watch the videos and look for yourself. This is not just my opinion. My opinion is based in fact. This is what I see. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, people are entitled to feel how they want to. But,
So, Stormy, do you understand the perspective of when people say that, yes, the tide may have been turning, Bud was starting to get off, and he got the stoppage, but people feel like, like I said, it was a bit lackluster, right? They want to see Porter go out on his shield. Do you understand that perspective where people feel like, Porter was doing well and he got dropped a couple times, but he didn't seem hurt to let him finish the fight? We all understand why, we all understand that Kenny stopped it, right? It wasn't the ref. It wasn't that Sean Porter quit. Kenny stopped the fight. Do you understand that perspective on, okay, yeah, well, maybe we could have seen Porter carry on? Or do you think it's a situation where it was inevitable, he was going to get stopped regardless, Kenny saved his son, and you're okay with that? Is that your assessment. Is that fair?
No, I think Kenny should have let the fight continue. I never said that I thought that Kenny stepping in and that was a good stoppage by Kenny. I said that the reason that I thought that Kenny did what he did because he didn't want to see his son KO'd. But I just watched, Gary Antoine beat the crap out of Postal, and they stopped. The ref jumped in and stopped the fight before Gary could put the guy on the canvas, and it was like Postal was he was rocked and going backwards, but it's the last round, and you stop it and don't let the guy get finished off. Instead of we see it a lot in boxing where people jump the gun and people don't step in when they should and everything. Where was the ref when Ray Mercer was beating the crap out of Tommy Morrison? Huh? Where was he? And see, this is what I'm talking about. There's so much inconsistency in boxing. I'm not complaining one way or the other because I've watched a lot of boxing, and it's like, listen, man, I want to see.
Stormy, what was your scorecards up to the stoppage?
I don't remember. I really don't.
I was just thinking myself. I don't remember what I had either. I definitely had it a close fight.
It was close, but I don't remember what I had it.
And I agree by 2 rounds before the stoppage.
I think I may have had it a draw up to the stoppage because, or maybe 1 round either way. It was definitely very close. But I see what Will's saying as far as like, Bud starting slow put him in a position to having to turn it up. I don't think he was desperate, but he knew he had to turn it up, and he did. And he ended up dropping him, and that was really a momentum shifter. But it's tough, man, because we've seen Porter hurt before. We've seen him hurt, we've seen him dropped, and we've seen him get up and finish fights. We've seen him do better after being hurt as well. And so it's a really tough call. But at the same time, I see where Stormy's going with it too, because at the end of the day, where do we put the blame? Like, where's the blame as far as the fight not being ended the way that we wanted it to end or how perhaps it should have ended? Really, the blame is to Kenny Porter, right? Like, we can't blame Bud for that. We can't say, what the fuck, Bud? Like, don't be happy about this. Well, of course he deserves to be happy. He dropped the man, and at the end of the day, it's on Kenny. Kenny stopped the fight.
Do you think that Kenny would have stopped it like that if Earl would have dropped him a second time on his behind? Do you think that Kenny would have stepped in and stopped that? It's possible. It's possible. That's just that's open for conjecture.
To be honest with you, my initial reaction was when he got dropped, that was the second time. And then Sean got so furious with himself, he started punching the canvas, right? And for me, I was like, well, he definitely ain't hurt. But he's starting to get caught. Like, he's starting to, I don't want to say fade, like physically, but now he's starting to get into a position where he's just getting caught too much. And it made me feel like he's going to get stopped eventually. I'm being completely honest with you guys. Well, even if Kenny didn't stop the fight, I think that in the next round or two, if Sean survived that round, that Bud was just getting comfortable, man. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. He was getting comfortable. He was getting sharper. He was finding his range, and Porter was in a situation where his success early in the fight was no longer being successful. But with that being said, it's like, okay, I can see both sides. Now, like I said, he was punching the canvas, and I thought, in my mind, I'm thinking he's going to get up and he's going to continue to fight. I had no doubt about that with Porter. I had no doubt about that. But when Kenny threw in the towel or waved it off, there definitely was a part of me that was like, really? Like, I don't think that's a good time to stop the fight, because Porter has, as I mentioned before, shown heart and determination even when he is hurt. And at the end of the day, it's a championship fight. Like, I would say that if you say, okay, well, Divine wins, when should Kenny stop it then? Well, if Bud were to stop him one more time, then I think it would have been a little bit more acceptable. But after a second knockdown when he's clearly not hurt.
You have to let it go to its completion.
Yeah, it just when people say like, and there's plenty of people out here. It's not just Will. There's a lot of people out here that felt very upset, of that stoppage, and I can't argue against it, even though I had Bud he was going to win that fight in my eyes, regardless. I just saw that momentum going that way, and I just don't see Porter, sneaking something in and shocking the world, even though he started to, get into deep waters. But I can't argue against people who are upset at that stoppage, because it makes it look very suspect, right? Your dad's in your corner. And this is why personally, and some people don't agree with me, but this is why I personally don't agree at this level for dads to be in the corners of their son fights. In the amateurs and maybe the beginning of their professional career, I don't mind it as much because you're molding your fighter / son. You're making him or her become the fighter they're going to become. But when you get to this level, I just don't agree with it because we see this stuff all the time. We just see it all the time where fathers want to protect their children. And it's like, as a father myself, I think we're all fathers here except maybe for K-Rod. But you're going to have that instinct, right, where you want to protect your children. So on one end, I was like, I understand that as a father perspective, but that's why you don't put yourself in that position where when he's in the ring against a guy like Bud Crawford, where the potential of this happening is actually, it's high at this level. And, and if it's not a situation where fathers are stopping fights prematurely because they want to save their child, then we get other shenanigans, you know what I mean? Where like Angel Garcia acting a fool, and this other dude who got stopped by Cambosos. I don't even want to say his name because he's a clown. His dad acting a fool too. So then you get that perspective of it, where fathers are acting out. And on that note, there's a reason why Floyd Mayweather Jr. put Roger in his corner. Yes, in the beginning, it was his dad. His dad went to prison, right? So Roger stepped in, but there's a reason why after his dad got out, he stayed with Roger for a very long time until the very end of the career, where Floyd is at a position where his dad was just there, but he's not he's not really listening to his dad. Let's be honest. He's got his own game plan. He's distinguished to the point a late 30s, fighter who has accomplished immense amount of credibility in the sport. But he brought his dad there in the end just to kind of make his dad, happy, make his dad feel like, I'm part of this creation that I helped create. But there's a reason why Floyd said, nah, I'd rather have Roger, my uncle, in the corner, because it's different. I know that for a fact. I think we can all say that. When I was in sports, competing at high levels, my uncle, my dad's brother, was way more level-headed than my dad was. Right? It's just different. So that's why generally I just don't agree with it, because it just puts a sour taste. It puts a sour taste in our mouth. And then to add insult to injury, Sean Porter retires. So to Stormy B-Man's point, we can't get a rematch against Porter and Spence. And other fights that Porter could, easily physically. I mean, it wasn't like he was demolished. It wasn't like how he treated Paulo Malignaggi. Sean Porter beat the brakes off of Paulie, right? So it wasn't like that. He just, he was in there against a fighter who started gaining momentum towards the end of the fight. He got dropped a couple of times. His dad stopped the fight, and it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. He could have came back, but he retired. Now, we don't know what those real reasons are. He's saying, oh, I've had a great career, I'm done. Okay. But maybe there's more behind it. Maybe he feels like, I can't remove my dad out of my career because he's my dad, but I can't continue having my dad stop fights.
But speaking on that, I mean, his daddy also know what kind of sport he got himself into. I mean, this was a choice. Like, this ain't no, well, he ain't had no choice in the matter, but he's gonna be a boxer. No, he chose to be a fighter. He knew what came with it. No, now, if that was the case, then why didn't his dad stop the fight when Adrian Broner stopped him, when he dropped him? And he said he's never been hit harder by anybody else but Adrian Broner. I mean, it's too hypocritical to me. And I mean, I see the comments of people talking about how he could have, should have, would have got stopped. You don't know that. None of us know that. None of us do. None of it's all just speculation. You was hoping he's gonna stop Shawn Porter, but it didn't happen. He got this measly little stoppage from his dad. It looked like it was set up because he do a show with him right after the daggone match is over with. That looks even further suspect. Like, come on, man, let's be true.
But Will, like, I hope you understand my point on why I don't agree with fathers being in the corners.
I totally
at
understand
this level
that.
because if his dad wasn't in the corner for that fight would have continued.
Exactly. And then this wouldn't even be a conversation. You know what I'm saying? This wouldn't even be up for a conversation. Like, a lot of stuff about that fight looks suspect to me. It looked a lot suspect to me. You know what I'm saying? It don't even sit right. And then just to hear like the Bud Crawford fans talk, well, he was getting ready to stretch him anyway. How do you know? How do you know? You don't know that. You don't know. I don't know if Bud would have knocked him out. You don't know it because it didn't happen. And it won't ever happen because Shawn Porter was on his way out the door, which makes this look even further suspect. You know what I'm saying? The boxing fans were robbed of a good fight. It was good all the way up to that point. Now, you mean to tell me that we should be happy with Shawn Porter on the canvas, punching the mat in anger, and then the next thing you know, here comes his dad twiddling a little damn towel to make it, man, no. He wasn't going to get smooth knocked out. You don't know that. It's speculation. You're speculating. Nobody knows what would have happened in that fight. That's the bad part about this.
And to the point of Hans Beecham, he says Kenny Porter completely dogged Shawn in the post-fight interview. That had to be embarrassing. Well, this is exactly why, another reason why I don't like fathers being in the corner. Because what are you going to say to your dad? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's your father.
That's your father. Exactly. Like, Shawn Porter is a grown-ass man. You're not an 18-year-old anymore. You're not a 17-year-old. You're not coming out of the amateurs. You're not fighting for the Golden Gloves anymore. You're an elite professional fighter, right? So I speculate, and it's speculation, but I speculate one of the biggest reasons why Shawn Porter retired was because he just couldn't stand up to his dad, and it's just not worth it to him anymore. And Kenny's not gonna bail on it. He's not gonna say, "Oh yeah, you can just do your own thing." Kenny said, "Oh, if you want to fight, I'm your dad. I'm in your corner. You ain't got nothing to say about it because I'm your dad." And you at some point, right? I've had to stand up to my dad before. It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I had to stand up to my dad, and my dad looked at me like I was crazy. Like, who's going to train you better than what I can train you? That's what my dad told me when I wanted to move away and do my own thing when it came to training and competing. And I had to give him that harsh reality. It's like, Dad, like, you're actually at this point holding me back now. Right? I got to be my own man. I want you ringside supporting me, but you can no longer control my career. And we know the demeanor of Shawn Porter, right? He's a nice dude. He's a super nice guy, right? He's a dog in the ring. Don't get me wrong. Got all the respect in the world for him. But his personality and his demeanor is he's a gentleman, right? So for me, I feel like one of the biggest reasons why he retired is, one, he got paid handsomely for the Bud fight as well. So he got paid nicely, and his dad said what he said, and he's just like shaking his head like, man, I can't get my dad out of the corner, but I ain't going to tolerate this shit anymore. So I'm out. That's how I personally feel about it. But yeah, Hans Beecham, you're right. It was embarrassing. Just like Teofimo Lopez, his dad, like, if that was my dad, like, saying the shit that he said post-fight, oh, my son didn't get knocked down, he slipped. What?
He gets your ass whooped, bro.
My son didn't get, he slipped? What? He got punched in the face, and he fell down. That's what happened. But this is the thing, right? And I feel like at the end of the day, we just have to take it for what it is. We have to accept it. Porter himself, unfortunately, didn't really protest it. right?
Nope.
He didn't come out and say this bullshit stoppage. My dad got in the way. We got to run this back. I was winning the fight up until the point of the stoppage, declare anything. He was just like, yeah, it is what it is. I got paid. Like, I'm good. I'm out.
Hey, but Divine, I want you to notice one thing. And everything that I just said, I did not one time tear down Bud Crawford's performance against Sean Porter. And I won't do that. That's disingenuous. It's not his fault. This fight was mainly in the corner of Sean Porter. That's who robbed me of this fight, not Bud. It was Sean Porter and his dad. They robbed me of this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why I feel the way I feel about that fight. That's why when you try to compare that fight to Errol Spence, Sean Porter, to me, there's no comparison because it's too much BS and extra noise outside of that for me to even make an educated decision on that. I can't.
Watcher just said Porter signed a contract making Kenny his manager permanently.
Like AJ did with Eddie Hearn.
Hey, I got something to say before I have to get ready for work. I mean, I'm going to have to actually get ready to go. But to what Sensei was saying, there was a lot involved in that fight. And honestly, I don't think that Kenny Porter wanted to see those two try to murder each other at the end of those championship rounds. I think Kenny Porter saying they're both like my son. I mean, one's my son, one's like my son. And I'm I see no possible way that my son will come back and win this fight because I have never seen him being down twice in one round. Have you ever seen him being down twice in one round? No. So I think that Kenny Porter was like, fuck it, I'm just going to stop the fight. Because to be honest with you, Will and K-Rod and Divine, that Crawford, how much you want to believe it, was going to finish him. If not in that round, in the next round or the championship round.
Y'all don't know that.
No, I mean, I don't, like you said, but the skill level, just let me finish. The skill level and how way Crawford finished people, it was getting to that point that Crawford's getting real mean out there and he's going to try to hurt him really bad. And I don't think Kenny wanted that to happen between two best friends, I believe they are. And that's a dad in both of them. And so you can't really fault one side or another for what Kenny did. If they didn't want to fight each other, if they're that good of friends, they should never fight.
I totally understand what Big Dog is saying. I totally understand that. And that sounds more like with the logic that Kenny may have been operating under than anything. But that doesn't mean you have to like it. But that's probably closer to the truth. And when he said the things that he said in the post-fight, Kenny knows that what he says, he can take the onus and allow blame and guilt and stuff to be placed upon him. At least he's doing his job. And at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I don't think Kenny cares, to be honest. When
Right.
we sit up here and talk about how he shouldn't have stopped the fight, he don't care. His son got paid. His son's safe and healthy in his mind, right? And so he doesn't care.
Right, but
So
what
I
does
mean,
that say
that
about
just-
what did that say about the sport, though? You know what sport you chose. You know what I'm saying? Like when I lifted my hand to swear to the flag to defend this country, when I signed up for the Marine Corps, I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew there was a possibility I could go to combat, and I went twice. You know what I'm saying? I know the dangers of what I was doing. He knows the dangers of what he was doing when he was getting in that ring. I don't give a damn about friendship. Fuck friendship. There's been plenty of friends that got in the ring and fight. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty throughout history it happened.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
what I'm trying to say is Kenny didn't want it to go that far.
Who cares what Kenny wanted?
But
I'm talking about the
problem.
sport. I'm talking about the sport of boxing, period. I don't give a shit about the fighters. I'm talking about the sport itself. I'm talking about the sport, what we love. What we're talking about is the sport. Whether they had personal feelings about it or not, that should have been out the door of the arena, period. This is about fighting. Y'all signed contracts to go and fight. Not going there, man, I'm gonna take it easy. Just like it sounds like Lomachenko versus Comey. No, bro. No. And then and then I see the comments of people making a bunch of speculations talking about what Bud woulda, coulda, should have done. He didn't do none of that shit. It didn't happen. We got robbed of that. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. It did not happen. I don't care if Kenny was up there crying his eyes out on his knees saying to stop the fight. I don't give a shit. Like, that ain't the first time Sean been dropped. He got dropped before a few times. I mean, god dang. I mean, making speculations and trying to make it sound like Bud is just this great, super great fighter. He was getting his ass handed to him throughout the whole fight. He was holding like a motherfucker. Y'all gonna acknowledge that stuff. Y'all leave that part out.
Well, will you think possibility that Bud was holding back? I think he was holding back in some of those rounds.
He wasn't holding back, bro.
Yes, he was.
Caught. He was getting caught. I
think he was holding back.
Let's talk about the sport. I don't care about feelings. Facts don't care about my feelings. They don't care about my opinion. They don't care about nothing. The facts will always be the facts, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Big Dog, I don't know if I don't know about Crawford, whether he was holding back or not per se, but I will tell you this: Porter came to fight. Porter came to fight. Porter didn't. He wasn't worried about no damn friendship.
Exactly.
He came in trying to fight. He trying to win.
But I didn't say it was. I didn't say. I said Kenny. Kenny did.
Kenny ain't in the ring.
I understand.
But Kenny is.
Will's just saying, he's pointing out the fact that all right, Stormy, I appreciate you. I see you out there getting a little bit tired, man. I appreciate you. Sorry, we getting a little.
Hey, I need to go too, but all right, man. Love all you guys. Peace. I need to get ready for work. Go to work.
Man, go to work.
You gotta go to bed, man. I gotta go to bed.
Man, I'm gonna go in a second myself. I gotta get ready to go to bed myself. I got work in the morning,
I know it's getting late out there for you guys, man.
It's cool bees though, man. I don't mind staying up. It's 11:34 here.
Great conversation though, but I'm running on fumes because I did a show before hopping on, and
man, get you some Rinse OG. Get you some Rinse OG.
Peace to you guys, man. Appreciate you, and happy birthday again, man.
Stormy, thank you.
Stormy.
All right, see you, K-Rod, Trill.
You too, Stormy. Do you get what I'm saying, Divine? I'm not using like I know my feelings about the fight. I know how I felt about it when I watched it. I felt like I was robbed when I watched the fight. I paid for it to watch it. You know what I'm saying? I paid to watch the fight. But then when I watch the fight, like here comes Kenny. Like, who gives a shit about Kenny's feelings? Kenny's not in that ring. He's a manager. He's a trainer. That's all he is. Period. He's not the fighter. It's ultimately left in the fight, and I agree with you.
And it's the same thing where, I mean, you made a great point about, join the military. You volunteer for that shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, you put on that uniform at any moment, your life is every moment your life is on the line.
Exactly. Like it's not something that you get to opt out of. Like, man, no, I don't feel like fighting today. What?
Yeah, what? No doubt. So it reminds me, this same conversation is when what's his damn name? Wilder's ex-trainer. He's so irrelevant
Mark
at this
Breland.
point that I forgot his name.
Breland goofy ass.
Breland, yeah. It's like when Breland stopped the fight, right? Everyone was like, yeah, he had to do that to save Wilder, this, that, and the third, and everybody supported that, right? But we've been saying the same thing. We've been very consistent, right? Where we all know what Wilder signed up for, just like we know what Porter signed up for.
Yes, that's
Wilder's in there trying to finish the fight, and you go in there and throw the damn towel.
Yes, that's the perfect reference to go to, bro. When Wilder went in there, Wilder said, I am willing to go out on my shield. I don't give a shit. Don't you stop this fucking fight. Let me do my thing. Let me go. And this is what I signed up for. I came in there to fight. I came in there to take whatever comes, whatever happens, what goes. I don't care if I win, lose, or draw. I don't give a damn. We fighting. That's it. And then all I see, and they ain't the first ones to say. I done seen plenty of Bud fans come and say all these speculate. Well, he was gonna knock Sean out. How do you know? You don't know. All this stuff is speculation. Y'all are speculating what you thought was gonna happen. We done seen, like I said again, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna reiterate my point. You've seen this a billion times over the sun. You've seen fighters get dropped in a fight and turn around and win. Everybody thought Riddick Bowe lost. Everybody thought, including me. I watched the fight. I thought he lost that fight. Not Riddick Bowe,
Yeah,
but
and
Buster Douglas. My bad.
Buster Douglas. Yeah.
I thought Buster Douglas lost that fight.
I
But
thought he got
I
knocked
kept
out.
watching the fight. Buster Douglas got his ass up and ended up knocking out Mike Tyson. So don't tell me, man, Kenny Porter was right for stopping that fight. He had Buzz about to knock him out. No, he wouldn't even hurt. Bro, come on, man. Come on.
Especially,
God.
especially at this level, though. That's the thing. It's like we talking
Right.
about the elite level, bro. We talking
With
about
the
the
resume
elite level.
Sean had, bro. Sean had one of the
Yeah.
most. He had one of the most pristine resumes at welterweight. This man fought everybody. That was his mantra. He was a can man.
Yeah, and even if I say that I feel like Bud was gaining momentum, and even if I say I think, as I don't know, there's a difference. As I think Bud would probably finish it regardless, but at the end of the day, that is speculation. And every Bud fan out there, you have to recognize that. And let's keep the same energy, because a lot of us came out here very upset that Mark Breland threw in the towel against Deontay Wilder. But then when Kenny does it, oh, yeah, he should have done that.
Right.
Well, I mean,
that's my problem
right
there.
If that's the case, well, would you say who was more hurt, Porter or Wilder? Right? So you were upset that Breland stopped the fight, but then it's okay for Kenny to stop the fight. See, that's where bias comes into play. And I don't care if you're a Bud fan or an Earl fan, but that's exactly what bias is. That's the definition of it. Because what do we talk about all the time on our channels? Consistency. Bold letters. Underline. Consistency. So if we're going to have an outcry, and I agree with you guys 100% about Breland stopping the fight. I don't think he should have stopped it. But we have to have that same energy and that same consistency when it comes to Kenny. I don't blame Bud. Bud was in a fight. Bud did what he had to do. That's on Kenny. So if people want to say, oh, well, Kenny didn't want to see his son get hurt. Well, what are you doing in the corner then? What are you doing there? Go watch at home. Don't watch it at all. How about that? Don't watch it. You don't want to see your son get hurt. Don't watch it. Talk to your son after the fight. So I don't want to keep going because we got our man Tay Jones up in here. Tay Jones, how's it going, brother? I see you, but you're muted.
What's up with it, Tay?
I said I just came to wish you a happy birthday, my brother.
I appreciate you, bro. Hey, thanks for dropping in late. You caught it right towards the tail end, bro.
Yeah, I told you I was gonna be late, man. I'd be having these clients and stuff like that, and so
yes, sir.
Today, I'd be trying to wind down. I just be tired and stuff, man. So, but I'm a man of my word, so I told you I was gonna stop through. I was gonna be late though.
Respect. Well, before you go, since I got you, let us know just real quickly how you see the Valdez Stevenson and how you see Ugas and Spence.
How I see Valdez and who?
Stevenson.
Oh man, it's gonna be a close fight. I think it's gonna be a lot more entertaining than a lot of people think. Like I said before, I actually said on my channel, I think it was like 2 nights ago. It's subtle. Like Shakur Stevenson is one of the best I've seen in the sport of boxing for is keeping his distance. I mean, whatever he's done in the amateurs up until now, who taught him how to create space, who taught him how to keep distance, has done a fabulous job with that. I mean, he's one of the best. I mean, he's always in the right place, always at the right time for us when it's distance-wise. Now, Valdez, on the other hand, somebody did a great job on teaching him how to close on his opposition. He definitely does know how to close on his opposition. Whether the fighter's tall, athletic guy, whether the guy's very rangy or not. Like this week, I just took time to study. I studied a lot of Chavez this week, and I studied a lot of Valdez, and I was just looking at some of the things that they do similar in that type of Mexican style they have. And one thing I saw is that Valdez, at least 3 or 4 of his opponents, he's knocked out the same way. And by me seeing that, and I'm saying, okay, Shakur is definitely a skillful boxer who know how to keep his distance. But on the other hand, Valdez is a great fighter outside of the T or whatever. He's definitely a great fighter, but he know how to manipulate a person thinking they got distance, and he know how to close real fast. So it's going to be to me, it's going to be very, 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 very intriguing to see how it plays out. And then, of course, if he does get on the inside on Shakur, I wonder if he's going to use the move or do some things that he's done in his last couple fights, where I've seen 3 to 4 guys knocked out with the same punch. Not saying that Shakur and his team haven't looked at it, but it's just how you look at film, you watch film, you just pick up on certain things, and I've picked up on that. But Shakur should win this fight. I actually think the fight's going to be a lot closer than what people think. Or he could wash him. I don't mind being wrong at all. I just actually think, people, always expect, oh, it's going to be a wash, or he's going to knock him out, this, and third. Well, we know that Shakur is not a big puncher like that. You see what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say it's going to be a knockout, but if it's a wash, it's a wash. But I actually do think the fight's going to be close. Now, I'm not saying it'd be like a split decision, but it'll definitely be unanimous. But you'll say, okay, Valdez, he earned your respect in that fight.
Interesting, because Will and K-Rod in here, they think it's going to be man down. They think Shakur is going to put a hurting on Valdez and get the stoppage.
He could, and he could, but like I said before, I know.
But you think it's going to be a bit closer?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tad bit closer. Now, I'm not saying like a split decision or anything of that nature. I think it'll be a tad bit closer, but at the same time, it could be a wash, and I could be dead. I could be wrong. Shakur could knock the kid out, but I think that I think he's tougher than a lot of other guys that Shakur has fought.
I think he's tough too. I definitely want to give Oscar that credit. I think he is very, very tough, and I think he's going to come. He's putting the Mexican American heritage on his back, and he feels like he's got a lot to prove. And I don't think he's going to lay down. But we mentioned in here earlier, Tay, before you jumped in, where Arturo Gatti had a lot of pride too, and we saw what happened with him against Mayweather.
Oh yeah,
right. And it was just Mayweather just completely outclassed him, was too fast, too much skill. And we remember what happened in that fight. So I don't know if it'll be that type of, demolition. But I think that there will be moments in the fight where Valdez will go to the body decently and kind of put Shakur on the back foot, and Shakur is going to have to fight through it. But ultimately, Shakur will just, I think it's just going to be too quick. And really, I think it's the accuracy. I think Shakur's accuracy is what's really going to, it's going to be like a needle just pricking Valdez throughout the fight, just pricking him to death to the point where you just start breaking him down. And yeah, that's how I see it personally. And just real quickly, your Ugas and Spence thoughts.
Yeah, I actually think that's going to be a good fight, man. I actually think we're going to see an Earl Spence. I think we're going to see an Earl Spence who's definitely going to be wanting to prove to everyone that I am the guy who can come back from tragic things happening. I am the guy who is the big fish of the 147-pound division. I think he has some chips on his shoulder. I think he has a lot to prove. However, I know Ugas is no pushover, but I think that Earl is just in a league of his own when it comes to a fight with Ugas. Now, Ugas, he definitely took Sean Porter, in deep waters. If you ask me, I felt like Ugas won that fight, and I've been very, very vocal about that fight. He does do good with southpaws, but make no mistake about it. This is not a 40-something-year-old Manny Pacquiao that's getting ready to step in the ring with him. This guy has definitely been working his ass off, keeping the weight down. He's been training hard, and I mean, you can just see the commitment level. You know what I'm saying? You can
which is not easy to do when you're coming back
sure.
from injuries, and he could have easily let his body go.
Easily.
And he could have pulled a Keith Thurman and disappeared for 2 years.
For sure.
But he stayed in shape and he remained focused. And I
Right.
think that's where a lot of people are kind of saying that there's a little bit of doubt. If there's any doubt, it's that. It's like, is he truly recovered? Did he really, truly take care of his body? If he gets hit in that eye, will it be a problem? And I think that's the only kind of dark cloud that's around Spence, in my opinion.
Well, you know, it's not. I'm gonna say this. I wouldn't. I'm kind of like Earl when it comes to that. I'm not worried about it. Why should you? Because in the same breath, everybody wanted to see if he can take a punch. You know, coming back from the car accident.
True.
That was well. We got to see how his body do. We got to see this. We got to see that. Man, listen, the man been working.
Yeah, and he proved people wrong before. So that's for me. I think that I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. I'm not too worried about the eye. I'm not too worried about him not coming into shape. I'm more looking at it for what it is, and I think that Ugas is a very credible opponent. And I think Ugas is going to come and bring it, and it's going to be a hell of a fight. That's how I see it. And there's a lot of people thinks that Spence is going to win this comfortably. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to drop my prediction quite yet, but I will say that Ugas is no slouch. He's in the position that he's in right now for a reason.
Oh yeah, for
You know what I mean? And he's got that boxing IQ. He's got that Cuban pedigree, and he's got tools in the toolbox. I promise you that.
For sure he does.
So, no doubt. But look, man, I know it's getting late for everyone out there, man, and for all the people that came in here for this special edition of Firestorm, we brought it back today for my birthday. For all the birthday wishes, I appreciate you guys immensely. Will, you've been in here since pretty much the beginning of the stream, so I appreciate your endurance and your longevity.
Oh man, no doubt, bro. I enjoyed myself.
No doubt. And K-Rod, I don't know if you're still there, still alive, but thanks for coming as well.
Oh yeah.
You got that sinister laugh.
Sorry.
He's got that sinister laugh.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course, Tay, yeah, it's I try to send out a bunch of invites. Not everybody was able to make it, man, but I appreciate you keeping your word and coming in. You know that is extended to you anytime that you want to bring me on. You know that I'll always be there, and late is better than never.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But look, guys, we got an amazing month coming up here in April. Looking forward to it. Great fights coming up. Like I was saying earlier, we've been starved of these great fights as boxing fans because of the pandemic. And now we're starting to get these fights, come into fruition. And I'm super excited about it. I'm excited to call these fights live. And that's what I'm really looking forward to it. And if you guys don't know, I mentioned a few times, I will be back stateside next week. So I'm going to be in the Missouri area first. Got to handle some family business, and then I'm going to be free as a bird to go anywhere and everywhere for a couple of weeks. So I'm looking to maybe drop by Dallas. We got G5 Gabe that lives down there. I might go down there and collaborate with him. We might shoot a video together and whatnot. But I'll be stateside, man, so that'll be cool to be able to do these lives more on your guys' time zone than like this weird shit where it's like 12 hours difference. But look, man, I appreciate you guys, man. I'm going to let you guys get some Z's, rest up, and I'm going to carry on with my day, man. But once again, man, thank you so much for the birthday wishes. This is one of the best birthdays I've had. I'll remember this for a long time, and much love and respect.
Hey, Tay got a fight coming up too, y'all. Just so y'all know, Tay got a fight coming up too.
Yeah, and by the way, all three of these gentlemen up here have channels of their own. Make sure you guys go follow them, subscribe to them. They put out great content. Tay's really good at giving his fight predictions, and he likes to bet on fights. So if you are a person who likes to bet, Tay's the man to talk to. He'll give you his betting advice. Will, if you don't know him, I think most of you do, but if you don't, he chops it up about literally anything and everything, boxing, life, whatever it may be. So make sure you guys subscribe to him, fellow veteran. Much love and respect. And K-Rod, he's got his own flavor over on his channel as well. So go make sure you guys subscribe. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay up, stay strong, stay positive. I'm out. Peace.
All right, bro. Peace.
See you later. Thank you. And